Hey everyone, hey Baki. Both first and an expensive hello. It's quite the greeting. Man, I feel like I never fully recovered from whatever sickness I had before. I feel like I got something in my throat. Where we left off earlier today was with the instance chooser, and I have this closed, but I can bring this up again and we can show it. Excuse me. Yeah, so we were working on the party section of this. So if you have many different adventurers, they all show up here. You can pick which party you want. But there's the top of this, which is how you choose which instance you want to go to. And I guess you need to have a choice for this. Hey, Stilly. Have 50k points. Yeah, I don't think you can spend them because I redeem or I give you back the points that you use whenever I change things around. So I don't think you can ever get rid of them. Maybe there's something you can spend them on. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, this top part of this, we need there to be, well, we need to just work on this stuff. So let's take a look. We have the instance list, and this is just a list of labels right now. Okay, each thing in the instance list though needs to, I guess it could just be labels for now, but maybe we want it to look a little different eventually. I kind of want this to all be in a grid. And the grid would show the place, the level, and the maximum number of party members. Let's see what that would look like. Let's just add a child that is a grid. Is there no? Yeah, there it is, grid container. So grid container, columns 3. Then we just start adding labels to it. This would say place, then maybe level, then the party size. Yeah, place, level, party size. Then we would put in labels like, whoops, not that. Then we would put in labels like forest, and level would be 1. Party size would probably also be 1. And then just duplicate these groups. So now we'd have something like cave 2, party size 2. And yeah, a grid would work. I guess if that's the only need we have right now, we might as well just do that. Because it looks better than having labels like this. Oh, there's also a cost per adventurer. Yeah, I guess we added another label here. Cost. Is it going to be clear that it's a cost per adventure? Should it even be a cost per adventure? Maybe it should be a flat cost. Maybe there should be no cost. The cost per adventurer makes it so that you don't want to just throw in all of your resources. It's like a very tiny optimization game inside of the game. So let's say you're going to go start a battle. Cost per adventurer. This incentivizes you to minimize how many adventurers you bring. Not exactly a fun decision though. Maybe just set the max based on the location. Yeah. Yeah. Does it matter if you're completing instances faster? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think we're just going to make it be a flat cost. Change design document to reflect that instances will just have a flat cost. With a cost per adventurer, it forms a tiny optimization game that I don't think will be fun / clear to people. Well, fun for people, and it's harder to communicate that it's a cost per adventurer. Even the thing about there being a cost at all, I'm not totally sure about. But I mean, it's easier to just change a flat cost. Well, it doesn't really matter if it's a flat cost or not. But okay, yeah, so cost, and then we have to put in these cost labels. So this will be the cost here. The cost of the first one's going to be 0. The cost of the second one's going to be whatever, 5, something like that. Yeah. However, you need to be able to select a row in this grid. And I guess the only real way we could do that is by changing the background of each label within it. Because we don't have access to the rows of a grid, right? Godot grid container. That's why I was saying the UI is just kind of, yeah. All we have are some properties here, and it handles layout. So yeah, if you want to select all of these things, you would need to draw a custom box around it. Excuse me. And maybe we end up doing that. You know, we figure out where each row in the grid is. It's not that hard to do, maybe. Show that it's selected. We'd be rendering just a rectangle on top of this. I guess the difference is if I just made them into regular labels, then it wouldn't show up in a grid, but it'd be very easy to select where everything is. I wonder if anyone's ever asked about this Godot highlight row in grid container. I'm nearly positive I have to write something custom. Hey, Darkstorm. Table alignment with row highlighting. No one answered the row highlighting. Created a scene for the row that has a margin container as the root node. HBox container with multiple labels and a color rect. Yeah, the color rect is for highlighting. Then I add multiple rows. Align the text and rows in the image. Yeah. Okay, color rect, I guess it is. Yeah. Show a color rect for highlighting a row when hovering over the table. All right, so delete these labels. Ideally, we're dynamically populating. There we go. Ideally, we're dynamically populating this list. The list right now, it says it's in a box container. I don't think it needs to be. Although we could have a label underneath this that says something like, locations. Whoops. It's supposed to go there. There we go. Locations. And it's got all this stuff. I don't know if that's necessary. So let's just delete that. And this is a VBox container, yeah. So we need a way of populating this, and we need to know that you've been to an instance before. Maybe there's like a have you completed this kind of thing, but let's attach a script to this for now. So this is going to go in instance list. That's fine. And to make this, we also want to be able to sort this in the future. So each one of these is essentially going to be a row. Public override void ready. Are more games made in C? More than what? Also, hey, good boy. Just to answer the general question, I don't think a lot of games are probably made in C right now. I think most people are probably using game engines, and for that, they're using C#, C++, or maybe a scripting language, but probably not C. Hey, APX. Yeah, so I want some way of setting this up. Private grid container instance grid. And then get this. Should know how to get it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. It's just if you were to look up like game engine using C, I don't Yeah, I don't think there are a lot of them that are available right now. Yeah. It's reasonable. What does it buy you? Yeah, I don't think many people are doing this. Yeah, it does come down to what engine you're using, but I just can't think of an engine that supports C right now. And yeah, I don't know what it would get you either at this point. A lot of use C++, which I mean was originally called C with classes, so that's C-esque, but it's not exactly C. So I guess the first thing we do is we can clear up, maybe we just make like a setup grid, public void setup instance grid. Do you use any window managers? I don't really, but people ask about this a decent amount, and I have this part of my FAQ, which, yeah, what programs am I using for anything in particular? And you're probably seeing one of these four things. Well, not Aspenzo. One of the other three that aren't Aspenzo in this list. And it's probably not Alt Tab. So I have a thing to move windows around, and I have a thing that goes directly to a particular application. Those two things combined are kind of all I really need. So if you ever see me bouncing between windows, I'm just pressing Alt-1 or Alt-3, or accidentally closing Twitch or YouTube chat. Drat, where did that go? Wait, not youtube.com. I want to go to my own stream. Got to open this up again. Accidentally closed it. There we go. All right, so set up the instance grid. I guess first let's just clear all of the... There's no clear children. I keep trying to do that. Node in this dot get children. Node dot free. Okay, now we're going to add in 4 nodes. Instance grid dot add child. New label. It's going to be place, level, party size, and cost. Yeah. Now, every time we add an instance, it's got to have all of these things in it. And I guess we'll also need an ID. But the... how are we going to do that? I don't want to make a custom thing for this. I mean, the place names could be unique, and we could just look up an ID based on the place name. But I'm just trying to think, if we're going to show all this stuff in the UI, how do we know that the forest is backed by, instance ID.forest? I could store it in the label. I could make a custom label. Yeah, the place could also have an ID in it. I guess I'll need to consider that eventually. Consider having a custom label for the instance so that it can store both ID and the display name. Need a display name, a level, party size, cost. And eventually, whether you've done it or not, I'm not sure if we'll have completion rewards. Like maybe the first time you beat the forest, you get a special item or more items than normal. I think Diablo 2 did that. The first time you beat a boss, you got more loot than you normally get. Because you can only beat a boss for the first time, like, let's just say 15 times in the game. And then that's it. You're done. You're out of unique bosses. All right, and then we want to add in, let's put in some new things here too. We'll say forest. This will eventually be replaced with a loop. Free. And we'll put in the cave as well. Cave will be level 2, party size 2, cost 5. Maybe put a $sign. All right. So there's the instance grid. Nothing actually calls setup instance grid. Let's call it. It's going to look pretty similar to what we have in here, except that instead of cost 5, it's going to say, or instead of cost 0, it's going to say cost free. And the 5 should say $5. And the grid is going to be messed up because I didn't set that. No, never mind. I did set it. Yeah. So there we go. Now I want it to highlight the rows when you hover over it, which we could either... Oh, there's something I didn't think about here. technically highlighting text puts a highlight behind the text, right? Like this. It's not like we put gray over the whole thing. We drew blue on top of gray. So we'd have to draw this behind the grid container, I think. We have to come up with a currency. Yeah, I think gold probably makes sense, but then we need a currency symbol. I guess we just say G at the end of a number. Could use bot coin. So what I'm thinking of for highlighting a row is, imagine this. We have a color rect. We specify whatever, blue maybe, a bluish color. And maybe some opacity as well. And then give this thing a size. Is this inside of a container? Yeah, this won't work then. We'd have to just make this a control. So instance list is control. Now the color rect could actually have its size changed. Yeah, so something like this, where in order to highlight a row, you're just drawing behind it. I think that would work. Why not? And we just position it based on whatever you're hovering over. All right, let's try that out. So we'll call this highlight rect, or highlight. Yeah, highlight rect. Hey, Euphius. All right, so it is a color rect, highlight rect, color rect. So I called it right, yeah. Then we just need to position it correctly. So are there any mouse controls for the grid? Mouse entered. I guess GUI input is where we handle mouse movement. Yeah, it must be GUI input. GUI input. Do we have any mouse movement stuff? We did it in the camera, right, for drag? How did we do that? Drag. Unhandled input motion event. I don't think we get motion events for this. I think we have to do it in GUI input, or not unhandled input. Although maybe we do. I don't know. Let's just try this out. All right, so let's search for GUI input again. GUI input. We're gonna copy this. It's how to call the base. I wonder if that's needed. I wonder what the base one even does. It has to be implemented by the user, so I don't think this is needed. Did I do this everywhere? GUI input. I did it there. I did it there. But I'm probably copy pasting this stuff. I think I'm going to delete it. Okay, so let's copy paste this into whatever that thing is called, instance list. So if it is an input event, let's just search for motion. Input event mouse motion. Mouse motion. And what else? That's it. It's just that. And mouse motion dot relative. What is it relative to? Relative to the previous position. Oh, I see. Okay, so let's figure out what we have here. We have a position and we have a global position. What is regular position? What is this? Returns a mouse's position in the viewport this node is in using the coordinate system of this viewport. So now, it's gonna be kind of annoying. We need to figure out. Okay, let's just cut this out for now. Let's override a couple other things. Public override void mouse entered, I believe, is a thing. Is it not a thing? Are you kidding me? What's in here? What? Why is that not a thing I can override? It's right here, right? Mouse entered. Oh, I'm on a control right now. I want this on a grid container. Oh, in which case this is going to be really annoying, isn't it? Oh, man. Yeah, darn it. Okay, well, we could make this a panel container, maybe. Maybe that'd make it easier. Hey V1, welcome back. Yeah, drop this assembler nonsense. Start coding in Hyper C. It's only got one character and it's the happy emoji. Welcome back. Yeah, so my options are either to make this into something like a panel container, maybe. What is this? Container that keeps its controls within the area of a style box. Drat. Made the highlight rectangle take up the whole thing. I want that to not be the case. How do we change that? Yeah, I think a panel container manages the size and position of its children. Maybe it's such that it always takes up the whole thing, in which case we can't do that. We could put a script on grid container so it could listen to its own events, and then it bubbles them up for like where to show the highlight rectangle. Yeah, we could do that. We could also put no, we can't put it into the grid container. Actually, I guess I need to command Z all this stuff to get it back to what it was. I don't really want to put a script on this thing, like instance grid. It's going to just add a level of indirection that I don't want. I guess we could just bubble it up to the parent anyway. Is there anything else I can do? Are there signals for this stuff? Like, could I say instance grid dot mouse? Oh, yeah, I can. Oh, whew. All right. All right, mouse entered plus equal mouse entered instance grid. Is this my first game? No. I made some games before this. The last one I made on stream was over the course of like 5 years called Botland, but that's not playable right now. And then there's also a game I made that I open source called Ophog. That one is playable. This one was like a reverse tower defense, I guess. You put units down and they would travel along the paths here and then get into battles automatically. In a lot of ways, it's kind of similar to Skeleseller. All right, so that's mouse entered. We want mouse exit. Yeah, but that's the power of assembler V1. When you're coding all this stuff in just straight up hex codes, it lets you move super fast. All right, private void mouse entered instance grid and mouse exited. I'll move these things around afterward. This isn't even probably the most important thing that we could do. But all right, let's try that. And then we need something for mousing over the grid. I need to check if the position of this is within the grid container. How about we just print it out for right now? Oops, that didn't work. Oh, that's why that didn't work. Yeah, let's try this. Escaping keyword is reasonable. It's surprising. Is that a Godot default? I would normally use E, but we have some linter rule that complains about it, and I just don't feel like dealing with those rules. What happened? Node not found highlight rect. Instance list doesn't have it? Is this another one of those cases where I just messed something up? Color rect? Oh, I think I undid too many times. Yeah. Yeah, this is C# and Godot. Yep. All right, now what? Why does this look so broken? Oh, I see. It's just because, wait. That would imply this doesn't have a size. Oh my God. Yeah, also it's ignoring all mouse events. Doesn't have a size. So this would, darn it, this would need to be a container. But we need a rectangle to show up somewhere that we can position. I don't know how we would do that, I guess. I started really learning. I would have never graduated even now. I think you're not giving yourself enough credit. If you have the ability to graduate from a school, you have the ability to learn assembler. It's just whether or not you want to. It sounds like the motivation probably wasn't there, which I don't blame you. I think it's one of those things. It's like learning math concepts and wondering when am I ever going to need this. Learning assembly is just not super useful nowadays, I think. I've used it in my career. I've debugged in such a way that I've needed to dive into assembly before, but I think you could get by as a programmer nowadays without even knowing it. All right, well, we have a bunch of problems. One is that this is ignoring all mouse events. Two is that it's positioning itself such that there's overlap because it doesn't know the size of this thing. This is still broken, isn't it? It shouldn't be ignoring. Wait a second. Could have been ignoring mouse events. Human resource machine. Yeah, I haven't played that, but I imagine that's good at teaching it because it is pretty popular. So it must have done a good job. Did I break this somewhere else? I might have. Let's go find out. So mouse filter equals 2. Let's search for that. Start instance. Instance list had it. Okay, let's do that. Now we refresh. Want to learn assembly to disassemble stuff, but I don't know where to start. I would say if learning it to disassemble stuff, it's going to be pretty tough. Assembly itself is somewhat straightforward. Usually you have an opcode and then some number of parameters, either 0, 1, or 2 most of the time. So something like this, something like this, or something like this. And each individual opcode is usually like really simple. It's like add 2 numbers, set a carry flag. That might be one instruction, and that's it. You know, it's not like does 7 things at once. It's usually does 1 or 2 things. So the language itself is not too bad. The problem is that if you're just looking at raw assembly, it's hard to tell at a glance why it's needed. Like, oh, this is looping through and adding a bunch of numbers together. And then you think, well, that could be used anywhere in a game or a program. So what is it needed for? And then you need to figure out where that function is called. You try learning disassembly. Is this still messed up? I think so. I'm not actually sure what I'm doing wrong here. Either something is still ignoring the mouse, which I guess is possible, but I don't think that's likely anymore. Well, let's try it. Yeah, or there's something else going on here. There are no errors. Instance list. Instance grid dot mouse entered shows the rectangle, and this hides it when it exits it. Maybe this isn't being called. I guess it's already running, so we can just put breakpoints here. We can't put breakpoints there. Why not? Oh, because it's not saved. No, that's not why. Nope, that's why. Okay, now we just hover over this. Yeah, it's not doing anything. Huh. That's strange. It has stop. What is stop what I want? The control will receive mouse movement and mouse button if clicked on through GUI input. What do the other ones say? I can't. Wait, you can't scroll this thing? Seriously? As soon as you move the mouse off of it, how do I read this documentation? And what's that called? Filter? Yeah, this. It doesn't tell you the same things it told you on the other one. Oh, come on. So stupid. There we go. Receive mouse movement input events and mouse button input events if clicked on through GUI input. Control receive mouse entered and mouse exited signals. Okay, I think I want those, which is pass. But maybe this one needs it to be set to pass. That's already set to pass. Decompilation is so good. Yeah. Some statute of limitations ago. You're forced to say that. Forwarded you some info from my friend who wrote that book. Okay, yeah. Yeah, thank you. But I've got some advice for you. I think you should stop fighting your database. And I think with this book, you can learn how to stop fighting your database. You just take it from Paul Swale, whose catchphrase is "all's swale." I'm gonna stop talking now. Let me look at write this down. Syntonic sent this. Yeah. So these things aren't being hit, are they? I'm doing something wrong with mouse events here. Just, I don't know what. Or maybe something else is taking it. Like maybe this container is. Maybe I should figure out the sizing thing first then. How about this? Let's just change this to a panel container, which is going to mess everything up, but it'll at least fix the spacing. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, it also fixed that issue. So now we can hover over this, but the problem is that it's always going to take up the maximum size. I need to find some way to do this differently. Is there a container that doesn't can I use this? Container that doesn't position its children? If anything, it would just be container, I guess. Can you even use this? Container by itself serves no purpose unless a script configures its children placement behavior. If you don't intend to add a script, use a plain control node instead. Man, I want to use a plain control node. But then the container doesn't get laid out correctly. Oh yeah, another cleanup thing I gotta do is any labels I added need the right font settings. So I want this to be a control. If I make it a control, then inside the instance list, it does this, where it doesn't know how to lay itself out. I wonder if I added a panel container here and put the instance list inside that, if it would work. No, it does not. Okay, so yeah, the problem is I'm just using a control at some arbitrary point inside the scene tree. And if I use a grid container, then I need there to be a highlight rect somewhere that I can position how I want to. Oh man. It would have to be a sibling of this then. But the problem is this should be managed by can't get everything to work the way I want to. I want this highlight rectangle to be, it has to be next to the grid container, but the grid container has to be the root. So this would have to be in a different section altogether. And it could be. There's nothing stopping it from being that way. It's just, it's weird to have to form something that way to do this. Like if I put the color rectangle over here, then I could just set this back to, I could just make this the root. There we go. And now, and then hide this, I guess. And now over here, yeah, now it renders correctly. And then this color rectangle could just be made to be rendered however I want. Well, I guess we run into the same problem, which is that it thinks this is a child of the VBox container. Oh, but we could put it inside of a control and then it wouldn't anymore, right? Now this can be positioned however I want. Yeah, it can be. Although now it's in front of. I need it to be behind. That could be behind. It's impossible to tell because it's white right now. We'd have to change the color and then we'd be able to tell. Yeah, it's behind. Oh man, I don't want to do this. I don't like that. There is another way we could accomplish this. We could set the background color of each individual label. I think. Theme overrides? Colors? Font color? There is no background color. Huh. Strange. Background? Yeah, there's no background. I guess it's just got to be a rectangle behind it. Is there any other way to do this? Godot position control arbitrarily within container. I want something to break out of the container. But the whole point of a container is to position the children for you. Oh, scroll container. I'm going to need that. I hadn't even thought of that. Wow, this page is really helpful. Possible to create a custom container. Maybe that's what I want. I'm going to use React for UI. Like, why not solve this with CSS? You mean in Godot? I'm not sure. Also, hey, hardly difficult. We could probably find out. Godot and React. Is it a must need for Godot? User interface. Yeah. You'd probably have to add some custom thing on top. I don't know how hard that would be. By the way, hardly, you're like a week and a half away from your big vacation. How you feeling? Week and 2 days, actually. Oh, wait, I didn't think about this. Yeah, what if I put a control inside of the container, does this let me arbitrarily position this? It does. Oh, okay. So then maybe we could do that. Except for this would have to be behind all of the labels. So here. Yeah, that should do it. Stress is coming down, making plans. Nice. Nice. Love to hear about those plans and when they're concrete / shareable. Write the UI in React, deploy it, have the game launch an HTTP server, overlay the UI as a browser source, have it stream the whole thing through OBS. I get 10% of all the revenue you earn through Twitch ads. It's a great plan, Dead Robot. All right, I gotta write this down somewhere because this is ridiculous. Basics. Containers are intended to be used to size / position children. However, control nodes themselves sort of break this, which you can use to your advantage. For example, I wanted to make a grid container whose rows could be highlighted. Wait, does this mess up the order of these things? Darn it, it does. Yeah, because it's going to take up the first grid cell. Ah. If I put it at the end, it wouldn't do that, but then it would also show up in the wrong order, which maybe you could fix with a z-index sort of thing. If I make this completely opaque and then ordering, I set the z-index lower. Yeah, I guess that would technically work. It's weird. It's weird to do. Also, it's not something you'd expect. There's got to be a better way to do this. So problem, I want to highlight rows of a grid. So I want to use a color rect and position it to wherever I need in the grid. Problem is that if the color rect is in the grid, then it gets positioned by the grid. If it's not in the grid, then it can't even be in the same scene. which leads to weird scripting. It's not even like you can't do it through scripting. It's just weird. It's like this list should be able to highlight itself, but it's got to pull the rectangle from somewhere else. I feel like there has to be a way around this, and I just don't know what it would be. Maybe it is just using a regular container. Like if I say make this the scene root again, and then change this to a container, and then why is this working the way that it's working? No, yeah, that is gonna mess up the sizing of this. Can labels be highlighted by just changing a property? So labels might be able to, and if not, I could make one. But the problem is I want to highlight the whole row, and there could be some spacing in between that row. Like it's very easy in the grid container to just say, change the horizontal separation. Why can't I raise this value? There we go. If I set this to like 5, for example, or 50 to make it really obvious. So I don't think the labels now are going to be that width. Yeah, the labels are just the regular width of the label. You can't change color. Yeah, no, you can't change color on the grid container because there's no concept of rows that you have access to. The grid container itself just has 3 values. It has columns and then the separation values. And columns is just an integer. So yeah, there's no concept of like getting the row, changing it. And it's not really a problem. Like we can move this rectangle and we can figure out the positions of everything, I'm pretty sure, through code. The issue is I don't know where to put the rectangle. If I put it in this scene tree that you see here, then either it's got to be in the grid, in which case it's going to get sized by the grid. So it can't be in the grid. So that at least proves it to us that it can't be there. Or it's got to be out of the grid, in which case the parent needs to be a container so that it knows to take the grid size into account. Maybe we make a custom container. Like I can think of a bunch of ways to do this, but they all seem obtuse. So either this task is obtuse or there's something I don't know. And if the answer is the task is obtuse, then I guess I just go with one of my obtuse ways of doing it. But maybe there's something I don't know. So how do we find the thing I don't know? Container graph edit. What is a graph edit? Oh, I see. Not the kind of thing I want. Item list, label, menu bar. Yeah. Okay, maybe there's a way, maybe they using containers, or maybe size and anchors. No, I know about this stuff. Control node gallery. Okay, let's do some searching. Godot, draw rectangle in container. That's all I want. Custom drawing in 2D. Oh, maybe this is what I want. I think I did this a long time ago for something. Can't you just stack rows in a VBox and move color rect to the row? You lose the grid positioning, right? So what the grid does for us is it automatically aligns everything within a column. And if I had just rows here, then I would need to figure out the spacing based on the maximum length of an entry. I think this might be what I want. Yeah. We just have a draw command. So I could make my custom thing draw a rectangle. Yeah, there's draw lines. So there must be, yeah, there's draw rect as well. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it. Well, then that's not so bad. I know for sure I've done this in the past. I want to find where that is. I don't know where it would be exactly. Draw. Let's just search for draw. Can I get the path to this? Guess reveal in Finder. All right, give me a sec. Copy as path name. RG draw. Draw individual pixels. Godot scripting. Godot scripting. This got tabbed in really weirdly. Yeah, this is all messed up. Well, I think this is what we want to do. Let's try it out. Delete this. Goodbye. And make this the root. And give that the script. Delete this thing. Call that instance list. Okay. Now we override draw. We're going to call draw rect here. New rect2, draw rect. Colors dot green. This stuff can't be this way. We'll just draw it from 0, 0 to 50, 50. Yeah, okay, let's try that. So we should just have a green rectangle in some arbitrary location. And if we can see that, then now we can control the drawing of that rectangle. Yes. Okay, problem. Wait a second. I want it to draw behind, which I guess it's doing. But if I wanted it to draw on top, what would I do? Can you control that somehow? Oh, I could have. Order? To bottom. I'm gonna talk about order. I don't know if it matters. Well, thankfully it's doing what I want then right off the bat. So instead of this, we'll say new color. I want it to be some like cyan color. So RGB and maybe like 0.5. And then where's the current cyan color coming from? I think I copy pasted it into here. Yeah. So delete you, and you. Okay. All right. So now we should have a cyan square at the upper left of this thing, and we just need to position it correctly. Yeah. Well, isn't this fun? Fun, fun, fun. We could make it a nullable rectangle. Highlight rect. And if it is null, then we just don't draw it. If it's null, return. And if it's set, then we draw it here. And I guess we can also save off the color so we're not recreating it every single time. Oh, that doesn't really matter. Color, highlight, color, new color. It should just fill it in with what I have below, maybe. It does. Nice. Love it when AI does that stuff. Okay. Put that there. New can be simplified. Delete this. Cannot convert from rect to question mark to rect. It shouldn't need to because of this right here, but all right, so we don't need the show and the hide, I guess. We do. Wait, no, in this case, we don't want this here. Although we can set this to null. Let's delete that for now. So when you point at something, let's set this to a new rectangle. Let's just try that out. This is just going to draw a 100 by 100 square wherever the mouse is, which will hopefully at least kind of work. What's the problem? Can I convert from rect to question mark? Why does it say it can't convert? It knows it's not null. What? I'm very confused. Yeah. Don't think you can use nullable rect there. But why? Also, the compiler should be able to figure out that it's not null there. Huh. Yeah. Probably should do dot value. Is that a thing? It's still complaining. Stop complaining now. Why do I need to do dot value there? Yeah, that seems weird. So I guess this isn't working. Yeah, I agree that that's odd. Okay, well, I'll give Tolos a point. I am not sure. I'm not sure what this is all about. But also, this isn't working. So draw checks if it's null. Otherwise, it draws it. What is value? It's the value of the current system nullable object if it has been assigned. Interesting. I know the method requires a non-nullable argument, but by checking if it's null here, C# should know that now it is not, it cannot be null because it has an if statement right above it. That's how that seemingly always worked in the past. In fact, I feel like that's how it works with pretty much everything else. Like if I say string question mark foo, well, anyway, I don't know. Doesn't affect it. But the compiler should be able to tell at that point that it is no longer a rect2 question mark, it's just a rect2. Yeah, strange. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't feel like that should be needed. Although I am running into another problem here, which is this isn't rendering at all anyway. So either I messed up the color, which it doesn't look like I did, or I messed up the rectangle drawing. Let's put a breakpoint here. It has to do with the fact that it's a struct. I have to queue redraw. Shouldn't this just be happening every frame? Called when canvas item has been requested to redraw. Oh, I see. Yeah, thank you, Feather. I'll try that out. So then this isn't being called at all? Yeah, it isn't. Queue redraw. Okay, there we go. Oh, I need to queue redraw when I delete it as well, I guess. All right, yeah, thank you, Light Feather. Okay, so do that and that. All right, now we just need to position it correctly. This is non-trivial, but it's not incredibly hard. I'm just going to test this one more time, though. So we only want to highlight a row when we're actually pointing at a row. Yeah, nice. Oh, it's not going away. Drat. Oh, wait. It's not that it's not going away. It's that draw apparently keeps stuff there. How do I clear this then? Yeah, how do you erase or undraw or something like that? No, that can't be the case. What? What am I doing wrong? Mouse exited. Set this to null. So it should no longer draw anymore. Maybe when mouse exited, it's also getting a call to GUI input right before it exits. So it doesn't know that it's actually null. That's probably what's happening if I just print the order of these things. mouse exited, setting to null. And then down here, I guess we already have it printing. No, it never gets mouse exited. That's strange. It was working before. Yeah, that's strange. Instance grid dot. Oh, wait. Oh my God. Oh, I'm a dummy. Grid container doesn't exist because I renamed it. It's the instance list. This thing is what it thinks it has as a child. All right, I'll just write this. Except for this dot cast to of type. I'll just cast it here. Grid container. We could just say this is a grid container up here. Cannot convert type instance list to grid container. It's the scene root. Does that change anything? I'll just set this as a grid container. I guess it's the correct way of doing things when it actually matters that we have something here. I know this means we don't even need a member variable here. Good children. Yeah, okay, let's try that. In which case, maybe the Q redraw isn't needed. Hard to know. Because I guess technically every time we get GUI input here, we're going to call Q redraw anyway. All right, so I don't care about that. I really don't care about any of these. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that's working. It is to do with a struct. Just wrote a link pad and reproduced it. Interesting. Yeah. So I guess with proper classes and objects, you wouldn't need to get dot value here. So rect2 is a public struct. What is color? Well, color is also a struct. Okay, well, I think I do has value is not equal to null. Nullable value type may be null. Oh, whoops. No, that was supposed to be not has value. Yeah. Yeah, I see. So putting a question mark here is different. Yeah. I mean, it seems like it was working. Yeah. Okay, so getting the position of the grid and seeing that you're even over a row here. Yeah, has value makes more sense in this context. Yeah. Oh, I see. And I guess this is what Goats was saying earlier. Yeah, classes can just have null references by default, but a struct needs to be wrapped for it to work. Okay, yeah. I'm also, all right. I'm going to give a point to a few people here. There. And then I'm going to write this in the C# notes that I have here. Note that structs and classes have different ways of becoming nullable. Instances of a class can always be null, but instances of a struct need to be wrapped in nullable T, which is what happens when you make a struct when wrapping in a nullable, you should use has value and not just not equal to null and my struct. That last part's not going to probably be clear to me. Lack of a code snippet there, but that's fine. So we can get the position in terms of the grid, I guess. I don't even know if that's true. It happens to be that the grid is at the beginning of this. Well, it happens to be that the grid is the element. but I guess the grid could be positioned anywhere. Let's see what the coordinate system seems to be. What happened here? Nullable object must have a value. Did I command Z too far? Yeah, I did. Yeah, it does seem like they could handle it themselves, right? And the compiler know that this is a nullable and that you're trying to use it. So then you must have meant to do dot value, and then it could have just done it itself. Yeah. But for whatever reason, they didn't. So 0, 0. And then, yeah, it just seems to progress as normal. Okay. So how do we get the row size? I don't even know if we can do this reliably because rows might have different sizes. Like, can I just up the font size on this thing? New label settings, font size, huge. Yeah. So technically, what we would have to do is get each row and figure out what its bounds are. And then also resize the rectangle based on the size of the row. This is very interesting. All right, well, we complicated this for ourselves. So basically, there's got to be some function here that is like get highlight rect based on a position. And we're going to put that here. Although this might return, it might return nothing. Highlight rect equals get highlight rect. That. And I guess it's only if it changed that we care about this. Because the mouse even inside this control. Loop define the maximum bounds. And the weird thing here is we got to do this like without considering the headers of these. So we have to know how many nodes we're skipping. So num columns equals grid. What do I call this thing? Instance grid dot columns. Yeah, that. All right, and we need to skip a certain number of children, and then we check the. We can't just check if you're inside the bounds of the children. We need to actually know what the row size is. And I guess you can't even get the row size without iterating over all of the children because any of the labels might be gigantic. Although we're probably just not going to do this. I think accommodating variable size rows is probably not smart here. Yeah, I think I should just assume all of them are the same size and just write a comment saying like this won't work with variable size rows. Did that just crash Godot? Yeah. Doesn't like when I do that. Did it even save? Nope. Let's try again. It worked that time. To-do write note about how this won't work with variably sized rows. Yeah, so we can get the height of a row into row height equals the height of any individual label. So get child 0 dot, is there a size, get bounds. How do you get this? It's not just size, right? Yeah, no, that doesn't exist. Huh, how do you get the size of a label? There's a size property somewhere over here. I wonder if we could just access that. No, there isn't a size property. Transform. Yeah. Can we get the transform? Oh, we don't know what the child is. That's why we can't get the transform. Yeah, okay. So we need to say that it's a label. Yeah, now there's size, and now we can get the Y. So that's the row height. Is this a problem? Cannot implicitly convert type from float to int. Okay, sure, that can be a float. And now we want to iterate over the non-header cells to figure out the Like we don't need to iterate over anything anymore. We can just figure out which column you're in based on the height. Yeah, this. Thanks, AI. Yeah, so if row is equal to 0, then we're in the header and we want to return null. If it's not there, then we want to return row times row height. 0, row times row height. This is row height. And this should be the width of the entire grid. Grid dot size dot x. Let's try that. Hey, it kind of worked. It should be returning null if it's in the first row though. What's going on here? There, okay. The row height is set to 23. The row number is set to 3. What's the mouse position? 77. Something's wrong about this. Instance grid.size.y. What is that? 77. Yeah, 23 times 3 is 69. So there are 8 pixels missing. It could be the padding. Instance grid dot. I don't even know what it is inside of this. It's like a theme override or something. Yeah, it's got to be the padding. But then, so I guess we need to add in the padding here. Yeah. Okay. Well, how do we get that? Because I know it exists in theme overrides. H separation and V separation. Can we just get the V separation of this? Plus grid dot V separate, nope. Constants. Get V separation, is that a thing? No. What? It's a property in the grid, isn't it? Grid container. V separation. How do you access this? And why wouldn't it just be V separation? Oh, maybe it's separation dot. No, I have no idea. Why I can't find this. What is instance grid not a grid container? It is. What is this? Separation. It doesn't have a separation thing. Is this like a C# shortcoming? Huh. Godot C# grid container V separation. How to set in grid container through code. Oh, get constants. Oh man. That's a little ridiculous. I never would have gotten that. Get constant. Is that not even a thing? It's like get theme constant or something, isn't it? Yeah, it's always hard to figure out which one of these it's supposed to be. I think it's this, and then you say V separation. All right, let's try that. Who knows if that's correct? I guess we're about to find out, though. And delete that breakpoint. I don't want that going off. Hey, that worked. Now I just need to... No, the row height already includes this. So then it probably didn't work. Let's print this out. Print V. Oh my god. There we go. V sep. It should be set to 4. Then again, I guess I could set it to 0 through the editor and then just make sure this is working, although it looks like it is. All right, so what's it printing? 0? I'm probably getting this wrong. It's probably called something else. Or it's not get constant, it's something else. Get constant. Theme constant. Theme style box. It's probably in whatever that was anyway, though, right? Godot engine. Override. Theme style box theme overrides. No, it's something in this. Yeah, it did have one in the documentation, but I think there are a couple of different things that there are here. There's get theme constant. Is there anything else? Looking for dev streams to see how others work through problems because I thought I was missing something. No, it's well, in this case, this is not done in the most straightforward way, I think. So yeah, figuring out how to get this is not clear. We can try it with an underscore, although it's weird that on the forums they didn't have one. Does that print 4? It does print 4. Okay, so yeah, that works. Hey, nice. And now we're highlighting the rows correctly. Neat. Yeah, so Dougie, you get a point. How are we highlighting it correctly, though? We're highlighting it with padding, right? I don't want to highlight it with padding. So I think we need to do this a little bit differently, but not too differently. Is separation an integer? Yeah, it is. Int vsep equals this. So up here, we delete this. And down here, we don't, or whoops, that's not what I meant to do. This is this plus vsep. What have I messed up here? That is apparently not obvious to me. Oh, semicolon. Row times row height. No, this won't work either. The only thing I want to change, okay. I just don't want the height of the rectangle to be that amount. There we go. Okay, so that should be the right sizing. Now in the editor, we need to fix the width being wrong. The width being wrong is a totally different problem. And the only way we would see that is if we're inside of a different scene. So I guess we have to go to container sizing and say shrink begin, save that and try to run it. Nice. There we go. Okay, pretty good. So this was so that you could figure out what you're clicking. Then when you click, we need to probably highlight it in a different color to indicate that it's selected. All of this is probably going to show up in a scroll box eventually. I don't know if that's going to complicate things. All right, so yeah, when you click, let's determine which row you're in. Maybe we should have like a get row from mouse position that just returns this row. Private int get row from mouse position. There we go. I'm just going to copy this code so I don't have to reread any of this. All right, I'll return that. I think it was the same. I don't think we need the int here. Don't need this either. Okay, so now this can just do that. Get from the mouse position. Otherwise, I guess we need these values anyway. Row height and vsep. They should be saved in the class directly. Then when you click, so else if event is input event mouse button and no wait, input event mouse button, and that event is pressed. Wow, I've just messed up my entire typing. And you've pressed the left button. So if you left click, then we need to get which row you're in, which may not even be set because this doesn't check to see if we're in bounds. So the row should probably return negative if you're not within the bounds. Mouse position. I guess it already will return negative if you're not within the bounds. Which means that if row is less than 0 or row is, yeah, I guess greater than or equal to this. Okay. I guess we do the same thing over here. I'm gonna refactor this in a bit. I just want to get this working. No return. Otherwise, we'll say gd.print clicked row number plus row. All right. What's the problem here? Are you not able to access a variable you define like this in the rest of an if statement? Let's find out. No, I had definitely done this. And this is the code that I want. It's pressed, not is pressed. And this is the position, which we get from this. And the rest of this all looks good. Ooh. We're getting there. Cannot convert from int to float. Yeah, where's that happening? 72. This is a float already, right? Yeah. And if that's a float already, dividing by an int should promote the int. Oh, it can't. Oh, I see. It doesn't auto promote ints. All right, that should fix it. Could have just made it a float to begin with, I guess. Still says cannot implicitly convert. Is what? Oh wait, this can't be made into a. What am I doing? I need to divide. Yeah, this needs to be in it. Oh my god, I need to take a break. I'm doing a bunch of stupid things. Yeah, let me just finish this off. This is supposed to be an int. This is actually the floor of what we're doing here. Yeah. Yeah, return type. My bad. Hey, baby. Fear of asking ChatGPT to explain code because I've heard you shouldn't use any of these tools while learning. I've been thinking about this a little bit more because I had a conversation about this in the stream on Monday. And I guess the closest thing I can think of is auto suggest on your phone. So I would assume most people watching a Twitch stream probably send messages on their phone. Most people probably have a phone. And you're probably using the auto suggestions that come up from time to time. Maybe not if you're typing in 2 different languages. Maybe then it messes up or something. But it's not always accurate. Like if you say where are, it might fill in with like you, the, and I don't know, something else. And maybe you were trying to find a 4th word and it's not there. But you've gotten pretty used to using it and it's probably speeding up your workflow. I feel like that's how AI is for me. And I know that's not exactly what you're talking about. The implication for you was that if you're learning, won't you shortcut the learning process by just getting your task accomplished and not learn the thing? And yeah, I think that's entirely possible. It's like if you're learning how to multiply numbers, you wouldn't take out a calculator and multiply the numbers unless you're just checking the answer, because then you have completely bypassed the thing you're trying to learn. I think with programming, it's tough because there are lots of areas you could be learning. And when you're starting out, it's probably going to be like syntax and just kind of basic logic and maybe some debugging and everything else. And just the general thought process behind when you're coding. But I think when you're more senior, you're definitely, you don't care about syntax anymore. It's like, just have the computer do it for me. Basic logic, you probably got, like you've got most of these things at the point where you do just care about speeding things up. Ton of complexity around connecting data, so maybe not. I think one of the Sims game used HTML somehow. Yeah. It would be nice to just connect these things, but yeah, you need some bindings between values in the web world and your game world. And in the end, I think games generally don't always need a lot of intense UI, although that is changing. And especially if you look at some games like World of Warcraft, like they have UI widgets for basically everything at this point. I mean, I don't know what's being shown in this thing, but yeah, you can see lists of stuff. You can see text. You can see like formatted text with colors and bold and bars and meters and buttons, and everything's customizable. Yeah, okay. I should say that a little differently. I think there are games that can be played that don't need a lot of UI. I guess I'm thinking about older games in general. Like Super Mario 64 didn't need a lot. But yeah, more modern games, even things like Breath of the Wild. I guess you still have all of the same UI needs that you have from like a World of Warcraft kind of game, just not customizable UI. I just asked to explain code or why this is an error. I think it can help. I think what I would probably suggest is just make sure you're taking a stab at it yourself first. Just like I said in the example of if you're multiplying numbers, like you wouldn't just completely bypass the multiplication so that you could type it into a calculator and be like, oh, I learned something. But you can use it to check your work, check your answer. And that's not very different from what people do as they're learning naturally anyway. Like imagine learning something and talking to your teacher about, is this correct? It's you just checking your work. All right, so it should say clicked row 1, clicked row 2, clicked row 1, clicked row 0. And if I click outside of it, can't click outside of it. Why won't it let you click outside of it though, I wonder? Because GUI input knows that it's only for this thing? Okay, that's kind of cool. All right. So yeah, if you click row 1 or 2, we need to set something. But like I said, I think I got to take a break. So let's go take the break first because I'm starting to make mistakes for this stuff. So where I left off, we're going to say when you click permanently highlight that row to indicate that it's selected. Ask AI to do it as much as possible, then I check if it's what I need. Yeah, yeah. I think the general conclusion I've seen to sum up what people have talked about in the stream and on Discord in the last week or so is AI is a little bit more usable by senior people right now than by junior people. But I'll be back in a little bit. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Hey again, everybody. Hey, Steph. Close the game. And yeah, hardly difficult. What just happened there? I think I generally use it, well, maybe the same way you do, which is just, I don't know. I feel like it speeds up so much of what I do. And maybe part of it is it's just gotten used to my code base and it's effective on my code base, but there's a lot of stuff it seems to do pretty well and it just types out a lot of boilerplate for me. And I appreciate that. All right, so yeah, where we left off was trying to get this to permanently highlight a row. So we need a highlight rectangle, but then we need some like selection rectangle. And they need to show up potentially at the same time. Selection color needs to be different, maybe more green. I don't know, I don't really care about colors right now. Yeah, it is getting better quickly. Okay, so we're gonna change this to this way now. If this has a value, and then the same thing with this. See, like, it's just gonna type out exactly there, done. I didn't even write a single character in there. I just hit tab a bunch of times and it did what I wanted it to do. That alone, I already think is valuable to me. Like, if that's all it ever did is just kind of fill in things that I've already typed before, that'd be great. And that's kind of what I use it for. I don't really ask it questions. Yeah, anyway, so now what we need to do is when you click, we need to potentially select something. So here we will say, oh, this should say if row is less than or equal to 0. All right, so the selection rectangle is going to be based on that. And when do you unselect something? I guess never. Yeah, in fact, this is maybe something we want to save to your save file. Well, let's try it out. I'm rendering them in an order that might not make it look pretty. Maybe one should be a border and the other one should be an actual selection. Yeah, so this is kind of showing what I'm talking about. Like the green thing is now persistent, but I can still highlight, I can hover over it. Yeah, maybe one should be a border and the other one should be, like the highlight should be a border maybe. I don't know. I probably shouldn't even focus on this stuff. I'm so bad at coming up with UI decisions. Yeah, fine. I want to try out the border way. So let's see. How do you draw a rectangle? There's false and 1. So I'm assuming that's filled in and filled equals true. So yeah, false and then width. We'll set the width to 2 pixels. And then the highlight should be drawn on top. There, let's try that. We need a new shirt every time? No, I'd have to iron like crazy then. Hey, again, Trackley. Oh, I'm not queuing a redraw. That's why that's happening. I'm like, there's some kind of lag here. This should work a little bit better. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Oh, we're getting there. We are getting there. Now we would need to know what it is we selected. And we don't have any of this data anywhere right now. It's just hard coded. So we need to actually manifest the data. So this is done. Consider having a custom label for the instance. I don't know if we need to do that exactly yet, but need to allow you to choose an instance and have it change how many party members you can have. Yeah. So we need to have instance data somewhere, and we have it. We have this. We have maximum adventurers. We don't have a level. We don't have a cost, and we don't have a display name. So we need all those things. Well, non-iron shirts still need to be ironed in my experience, but those are my favorite shirts on the non-iron ones because they're so much easier to iron. And my least favorite are what's that material? Linen. Is linen wrinkly? Yes, yeah, linen sucks. Hate linen shirts. The worst to iron. What was I gonna do? Why did I lose my train of thought so fast? It's almost as though talking about ironing made me lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, all instance data. That's what I was gonna look up. Okay, so I'm gonna need to change instance data to do a couple things. We're gonna need a display name. We're gonna need a cost. Maybe just an int is fine. Cost. And a level. Do I want to show a level? I guess so. I don't know. Let's just write it in here. Yeah, when laundry bot, if only. I would probably pay if there was something that could reliably iron for me that I bought once. Because it's not like ironing as a service is hard to find. It's just expensive. And there are probably like ironing robots or some kind of machine or something that takes up like a ton of space. And steaming has not been great in my experience. So I just manually do it. I call somebody, I talk for like an hour, I get 5 shirts done. I'm very slow. Very, very slow. All right, in this case, let's do this. All right, what else do we have? Max num adventurers. That's already set. 1, 2, 3. Level needs to be set. We'll just set that to the same as max number of adventurers. And then cost needs to be set. Cost is going to start at 0. And then let's say like 5 and then 10. That's probably still too expensive, just based on the numbers we have in the game so far. Put in the dryer with ice cubes for 3 to 4 minutes. Done. Done that for like 10 years. Whoa, really? Never heard of this before. So you're saying I just pour a bunch of water on all of my electronics and my shirts will be ironed. I am on board. Okay, here's what we do now. Instead of this nonsense, we're going to add in, we need something that equates. Oh, you know what we could do? We could store the instance data based on what rows are there. And then when we go to sort, we could sort based on instance data. Yeah. Ironing viewer clothes? Like people would go up to this streamer in real life? Huh. They sent it to the streamer? Wow. That is very unique content. In all instance data. There's no way to get all of this. Drat. Okay, well, maybe at some point we'll do something like that. Let's do it this way then. Instance ID in enum dot get values instance ID. Get the data, add the display name, the level, the party size, and the cost. Wow, good job, AI. Good job. There is one tiny problem. It should have technically put a $sign here. But everything else looks pretty good. So now that should just automatically be populated. Let's go take a look. Prepare yourself. Only happens when there's a giant raid about to happen. I better get this fixed then in time. Using system. Interpolation can be simplified. Yeah, I guess we don't need toString here. That's probably going to go away. Hey, everybody. Welcome in, and just in time because I fixed my game. How's it going, Kit? We were just chatting recently. I am working on a game called Skeleseller. I really appreciate the raid, by the way, and welcome in, everybody. And we're working on, so this is like an instance choosing UI that we have here, and it's supposed to show your party members. Let me do this. There we go. So you pick which party members you want, and it lets you go into the instance. But you don't even know what the game's about. So let me go back a step and hide that thing and show you from the beginning here. So we'll turn that off, and we'll just play the game. So this is called Skeleseller. Your goal is to be an adventurer, and you're wandering around the forest, and you fight a snake or something, and it poisons you, and you can't get an antidote, and you die. And then you come back as this little skeleton thing, and you start up a town, and your goal is to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else ever again. So you're trying to sell items, but since you're not an adventurer, you need to hire adventurers to do battle for you. And a lot of this game is automated. Oh, thanks for resubbing, Kit. Welcome back. 43 months. Yeah, a lot of this game is automated. So I'm not actually manually controlling these battles, and you don't even really control your characters in the overworld. And if I just kind of speed this up and click win battle, you'll see I get an item in my town from that battle, and my characters will go over there and restock the shop. And then these customers that are walking around can buy that item, and they just immediately go to it and buy it. And then you can use the money that you get. So if I just grant myself some fake money here, you can hire more adventurers. So I have the mage, warrior, and cleric there. You can level them up and get new skills for them. And there's like very basic skill trees in the game right now. And you can upgrade your shop and your town. So I can get more position, more space for items in the storeroom, and then they can go sell these. So yeah, I've been working on this now for really like 2-3 calendar months. And it's technically playable, although it's in a version that is a little bit older. So if you are interested by this and you want to play it, the next version I'm hoping is going to be available on Friday, July 26th. And it'll be free to play for that time. But the eventual launch is going to be paid. And it'll probably be somewhere in the range of like $5 to $10. I don't know. It's a single player game. It's a buy once kind of thing. But there's a lot of feedback that I got from the first time, the first checkpoint I'm saying that I launched this. So if I look here, most people said it was fun, but it was 1 month of development time. So now this will have been roughly 2 months of development time, and we'll have some of the feedback fixed and other things changed around. So yeah, that's the game. If you have any questions, let me know. I am going to get back to coding pretty soon, although yeah, feel free to ask anything you have a question about. Like I said, what we're working on now, right now, if you were to click start battle, you're just picking the level from here, and they're just like really quick buttons that I added into the game. And you're not picking your party. So here you see I've got my warrior and I've got my rogue, but like I didn't pick that. So that's the thing that we're working on today, is getting that to work. So I will show this. Now that you have that context, this UI should make a little bit more sense. Instead of these 3 buttons, you'll just say something like enter battle. It'll pop this up. You'll pick, okay, I want to go to the forest. Oh, that shouldn't be happening. You'll pick, I want to go to the forest or the dungeon or something like that. And then here's the party members I want. And then you'll click start battle. And if any of these were already in a battle, they'll get grayed out and you would have to pick different characters. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm making this in Godot and C#. The art assets are a combination of this pack called Super Retro World, and then an artist who goes by Quickie Joe on Twitch, who has made a lot of the other ones. So these packs have characters like these, and then Quickie Joe made the skeleton, for example, the player characters that I haven't added in the game yet, so you didn't see this, but this was the rogue, this is the warrior, this is the mage, and this is the cleric. And then there are a lot of enemies that he also made. So I really like these graphics. Some of them are in the game, they're just not really present yet. Like maybe if I went to the 3rd dungeon, you'd see a different one. There will not be loot crates, no. But yeah, what can you play it on? So it's right now available on Windows, Linux, and Mac. If it's successful once it finally launches, I will probably port it to mobile, but I'm not sure about that. Let me see if I missed anything else. Can I play now? Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, you can play now. There is the... Let me show you this. There is the Skell command. This has a link to the... Or maybe it doesn't. No, yeah, it does have it. Yeah, but it says if you're reading this before July 19th or so, I don't recommend playing the game. I want to say before July 26th. The plan is to launch checkpoint number 2 on July 26th. Yeah. So if you were to play this, you'd be playing an older version of the game. You can actually see right in that screenshot there are characters in this like gray void over here. That's another one of the changes we've made since then, is to get characters to actually follow the path in town. And even as you level up your town and get all this stuff, your characters still... Okay, I need to... Can't move the camera right now, but your characters will avoid the item displays and they won't just, step over it. But yeah, in the first checkpoint, they did just walk over everything. Does it handle mobile ports okay? Looking to use it on a future project? I'm not sure. I have a to-do list item to myself that just says, check out exporting to mobile and just see what does it look like. And if it works pretty well, then the main difficulty is going to be UI. One of the things about this game that's core to the game is there's a dedicated spot for battles so that as you're doing battle, you can see this happen, but then also still manage your town. So on a mobile screen, how do we do that? How do we show you all of this? And I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. So I don't even think it's worth looking into unless the game is actually successful. Yeah, Ganesh, Kipoga just rated, which is why you see however many people you see here. And the keyboard looks cool. Yeah, the keyboard is a Corn keyboard. And it's only 36 keys. Vince, thanks for resubbing. And hi, Nick. Welcome to the stream, Nick. Yeah, just have them hook up multiple phones. It'd be like a 3DS. Just snap two phones together, one for each battle screen. Yeah, there's been a lot of work done. I try to keep everything as public as I can here. There's some days I don't stream the work I'm doing, but it's not necessarily private work. Unfortunately, the code is not open source. And a lot of how I manage the project here is done through this GitHub projects thing. So we're working on these right now, allow choosing an instance and allow choosing an instance group. So this is like going to a dungeon and choosing your party. And we made some pretty good progress. It's just, it's not done yet. And I'm happy with even this thing existing. The thing we just worked on before that, which I completely forgot about because I've overwritten in the game, there's loading and saving, which is something you just kind of expect by default in games. Where is that file? Here it is. Yeah. But yeah, you can save all of your adventurers and your items that you have and their abilities and their levels and everything. And right now this is human readable, which means if you wanted to, you could go in here and just set this to level 5 or something. And technically nothing stops you from doing that. In the future, I'll make it a little bit harder. Yeah. What language am I using? I am using C#, and there are 2 developers working on this, myself and Darkstorm. The credits for the whole game fit into these 3 bullet points, really. Well, I guess technically I'm not in those bullet points, but imagine that I was in those bullet points. then it would fit into 4 bullet points. Have I seen Box Game Jam? No, I haven't. Yeah. What did it say? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to do a game that somehow used multiple windows on your operating system. I think it'd be a really frustrating game to make and to play. But I think it'd be cool to explore that concept of like, what if this had one thing going on and you could move another window around, and depending on where you moved it, it would interact differently with the first window. Probably easier to just make the windows be inside the game and not on your operating system. Have you seen this window? I think I might have seen this. Maybe not this specific one. No, I haven't seen this actually. Okay, this looks pretty interesting. But it looks like they did this. Maybe they didn't. I was gonna say it looks like they made windows inside of the game and not just use your OS windows, but I'm not positive. Dwarf Therapist felt a bit like that. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I don't think it would be that much fun to play. Take care, Stalin. Have a good time at the gym. Yeah. Animal Well had some of that. Oh, cool. Yeah. Also, hey, Q. Q, I have a goal, which is to get you to stop calling me Adam Learns Live. Just call me Adam. Hey, Timon, what happened here? I got raided by Kipoga. It's funny, sometimes people only really drop into the stream when they see there's a high view count, and then that's a very common question. And I see this in other people's streams too. It's not like it just happens here. Metal Marines did that when I ported the PC. Your island in one window and enemy on the other. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, although like I said, since I think it wouldn't be very fun, maybe, and it'd also be a pain to make, I would probably try something else. And an idea struck me yesterday, which is probably not all that unique, but what if you took the sort of the world of Skeleseller and combined it with the Vampire Survivors genre? What would that look like? Like, could you connect the 2 games somehow? You're buying and selling items over here, but then instead of battles taking place on the bottom of your screen, you're controlling your character and collecting tons of items, and they're going into your shop. I think that would be super cool. But that'd have to be a sequel. Oh, it does use your windows. Okay, yeah. Yeah. No, and yeah, that's fine, Tim. And I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying it does tend to happen a lot. Okay, so I am happy to continue. Yeah, Vampire Seller, Skella Survivors. That would be like the game Moon something. I think you're talking about Moonlighter, maybe. I think Moonlighter is a how do I say this? Like a more traditional action RPG when it comes to the fighting, whereas a Survivors type game is like things are just covering the screen and there's a lot going on, and it's generally that you're just kind of moving a character, I would say. I think it'd be neat, but I also think that the genre is probably getting flooded with games. That's all it takes nowadays is for one person to prove, hey, this game is viable or this genre is viable. Then a ton of people do it. And what really blows my mind is everyone's heard of Minecraft, but there's a game called Fortress Craft, which looks exactly like Minecraft. And it's like it's named practically the same. It looks pretty similar. I guess it's like slightly different kind of color schemes and stuff. Maybe I don't know. I don't know too much about the game, but lots of games came up with the like craft and voxel based graphics and so yeah, same thing with Vampire Survivors. It's like they spawned what 15 other games. Command doesn't work in replies. No, it doesn't work in replies, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a corn keyboard. By the way, quick overview for anyone who's never seen a keyboard like this. The main benefit is that your fingers are always at most 1 unit away from where they need to be. So there's very little hand movement as you type. And then in order to make up for not having as many keys, you repurpose keys. So these 3 keys are letters right now, and now they're numbers, and now they're arrows. So you just enter different layers and do different things. Anyway, let's keep going with this. So we just got to the point where we are showing these things. I have to fix that bug right there in the instance list. I think I put a less than 0 here. Yeah, get highlight rect. It should be less than or equal to 0. How long did it take to get used to the keyboard? For typing just English on it, it really wasn't too bad, maybe like a week. But for typing code mostly for typing code. For typing code, I'd say it took about a month or 2. And then I switched to Colmac, and that took about a year. Yeah. Speed at which you work. I haven't done any work yet, though. That's the thing. All I did is fix a very tiny bug where you could highlight the row at the top here. But yeah, so now we have a way of highlighting this. I think we need to make that highlight a little bit more subtle and not, spam you in the eyes with green. So that'll probably be a little bit better. Now let's see. Choose an instance and have it change how many party members you can have. Yeah, so we need to keep track of which instance is selected. Private instance ID selected instance ID. This actually may not be set to anything. Yeah. Oh, navigating stuff. I see. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of what I'm doing there is through a special script I wrote through Hammerspoon. I've got it here. Yeah. This window navigation thing. This is super nice. So I can press Alt-1 and go to Chrome, Alt-3 and go to VS Code. This is, if you use Windows, this is already the case. You can hold the Windows key and then press the number of the icon on your taskbar and it'll go to that app. But Mac doesn't have something like that by default. So in order to go quickly between my different applications I have open, I just use this script. And it keeps track of which window was activated last too, which is kind of nice. Adam's Apple is truly the best and funniest name for a Mac utilities repo. It's what I named my computer. How's C# been? I know C# really well, but decided to force myself to learn GDScript. Yeah, I've got a quick little why don't I like GDScript and why am I not using it right here. Why not GDScript? And I'll link this into chat. You lose hot reloading if you switch from GDScript, but I feel like you gain a lot of type safety, and GDScript is getting better, but it's still not there exactly yet. And I had some other frustrations when trying to use VS Code. With that said, if GDScript is working for you, I don't really see a reason for you to switch. But you can mix the two as well. Try snapping my keyboard now. Just gotta snap it into 4 pieces instead. They'll work then. Just keep breaking it. So this is gonna start as null. And when you do select an instance, we're gonna keep track of what you selected. So this isn't just a rectangle that you select, it's also which instance ID, which means we need to keep track of which instance IDs there are. And in this case, we could convert from the row number that we have into the instance ID integers since we have these here. But I don't think that's very smart. So I think we should keep track of which rows are rendering where. Yeah, I think we should do that. So we're going to say private, what do I want to do here? I guess list of list of instance IDs. And instance IDs by row, I guess. And then when we set this up, just add that in. In fact, it should just autocomplete. It didn't. Make a fool out of me. Instance IDs by row. Yeah, there. So now what we can do is we can just say that the selected one is equal to instance IDs by row minus 1. Yeah. And then we can even print this out. Clicked row number that, which is the plus selected instance ID. All right, let's see if that works. Yeah, Kitboga raid. I think I have a Kitboga command. I would shout Kitboga out, but I find if the majority of your viewers are from that person's stream, then they probably already know about that person. But here's a clip that Kit took a long time ago that I appreciate. The robot clip. All right, let's try this out. So I click this. It should say that I selected the forest. It did not. That's bizarre. It also didn't produce an error. Oh, wait, there it is. Oh, I just have a bunch of spam on top of this. Whoops. Okay, delete this. Yeah, clicked row 1, which is the forest. So let's just try the other two. I don't remember which instance is which. Oh, this one's the slightly less in-your-face green. So it must be this. Okay, now we click dungeon and volcano. Let's see if that worked. Clicked row 3, which is the volcano. Clicked row 2, which is the dungeon. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, know me from Botland? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the person from Botland was called Adam13531. Different time. So now that we know which instance you clicked, we can keep track of how many party members you should be able to have. The instance list should be able to update the party chooser. I don't think we need this. Choose an instance, change how many party members you can have. If you have too many, show that on the start button. Need to populate with data. So we populated with data. Okay, so how many party members can you have? Let's go code that. We have I guess it's all in instance list actually, is it? No, it's in start instance. Need a better name for that. Yeah, here's the start button. So whenever you pick, oh, we don't have the instance list in here. Where is that? It's right there. I just never selected it. Okie dokie. Let's go get it. Private instance list equals null. And then get this from in here. Instance list. And I think it's just called instance list, but I don't remember. Yeah, it is. Okay. Me crawling in Python, you're so used to this. You know, that's one of the benefits, I think, of watching other people code every once in a while. And typically, I think before Twitch, you would have only gotten this by going up to someone's computer and watching them use their computer. But my suggestion for anyone who feels like they're maybe crawling when they're doing stuff is, one, figure out which shortcuts you want to use most frequently. So you may not be using them yet, but if, let's say you didn't know about copy and paste, it'd be like, okay, those are pretty good, obvious candidates. But let's say you're moving lines around, let's say you're duplicating stuff, let's say you're deleting things. Like those are all things that you should keep in mind as you're coding. Same thing with just moving tabs around or closing something or saying no to that dialogue. It's like all those things happen so frequently for me that I want them to be fast. And then try to discover new shortcuts. So maybe you didn't know you could duplicate a line. Maybe you didn't know that you could do something like this inside your editor and perform math operations. Maybe you didn't know that you could do something like this and do JavaScript operations inside your editor. But there's a lot you can do. And finding out what you actually need is pretty good for that flow. Everything in Windows or Chrome to Premiere to FL Studio. Yeah, and I think there's a limit to that. It's like if you're starting with a new program and you don't even know you're going to use it ever again, learning the shortcuts are probably not all that helpful. So there's a trade-off. Hey, teeth. Okay, so we have the instance list inside start instance. And we need to listen for when it changes the instance. So there should be an action somewhere that this thing emits, which I guess party member has one of these. Yes. Okay, we'll put this inside instance list. This is on changed or on selected instance, on changed instance. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. And this is going to pass in the instance ID. Although I guess all we really care about is the party size, but we can always get that. What was for lunch today? Also a gyro. I bought a whole thing of gyros that I got to finish. Whenever I code, I just keep browsing forums 60% of the time. You mean like distracting yourself, or you mean in order to figure out how to code? Because those are two very different things. And it's not obvious which one you might mean, because I think a lot of people do just get sidetracked as they're working. That's one of the nice things about streaming. Yes, of course, I'm talking to chat right now, and every time I talk to chat, I'm technically not working on the code, but I'm largely on task throughout the day. Whereas if it were just me here, I would get distracted too. 1 week a year dopamine hobbies. I know nothing. Well, if you like it enough to do it for 1 week a year, maybe every year go up by 1 week. And that way, in 51 years, you'll be coding year round. All right, so on-change instance is going to get emitted when you do this. However, only if it was different. So instance ID question mark old instance ID. And then here we want to check if it's not the same. There we go. I think technically we need to say value, but this assumes that it's not null, and it could have been null. Yeah. So maybe we can just do this. I wonder if nullable overrides the equals. Can you even do that? Yeah, you can. True if the other parameter is equal to the current one. True has value is false and other is null. Yeah. Or has value is true and the value returned by it is equal to the other one. Yeah, okay, cool. This should work. Yeah. Those auto completions are crazy. That's from Copilot. It's AI completing that. And that's why it's crazy. But it is really, really nice that it's doing that, right? Like it knows from this code I have above that if I'm going to type an if statement, that probably I want to use this unused variable here, and it just types out the whole thing that I need. So yeah, that's definitely great. Are there advantages to using C# over GDScript? I feel like there are, and I wrote about it in here in the why not GDScript section, but they're not extreme, and a part of it had to do with me using VS Code and not the built-in editor. Also coding a game. I'm a newbie though, currently working on some pixel art. Thought about streaming my project, but not sure if people would care to watch me suck at art. I think if you have people watching you, that some of those people will stop watching when you switch to something else, and some of them will stick around, and it's all a question of how many people do you want to have watching you. Like there are certainly people I watch play game A that I would never watch play game B because I just don't care. And it's the same with my stream too. Every once in a while I do a music stream or something, and yeah, a bunch of people just tune out, and that's totally fine. Well, it depends on how big you are. I mean, not really when it comes to percentages of viewers, I think. You'll still have some percentage of viewers tune out. But I think it also depends on your branding. If you branded yourself as a variety streamer, then when you switch from A to B to C, people will stick around. But if you branded yourself as a, whatever, League of Legends player, and then all of a sudden you switch to Counter-Strike, people will not stick around probably. Would I say it's worth the $10 a month? Yeah, I think so. People start doing breakdowns of this stuff, like think of how much the average software engineer is paid, and then if you save only this many minutes, you'll blah, blah, blah. Like, you could do that while I'm getting paid so little that it wouldn't make sense. But yeah, I just think of how much time it saves and not necessarily the money aspect. Okay, so now we need a listener for this. This is going to be the start instance thing, and it needs to tell the party chooser that the instance changed. So actually what we could do here, let me take a look at this. Let's say we said instance list dot on changed instance plus equal party chooser dot instance changed. Yeah, now we go make that. Make this public. And this is what's going to pull in the maximum party size. If your party size is too big for this, then there's a problem. This, I guess, also means that we need to keep track of which instance ID is selected or the current maximum party size. Yeah, in fact, let's just do that. Private int, yeah, max party size. Wow. I'm surprised it knew that because I had not actually vocalized that yet. Yeah, so the max party size needs to be set when you change the instance. This is equal to this. And then we need to call, yeah, that on battle party change. I don't want to change this though. I just want to, party is about to do battle change it. I don't know where this gets used. Here, apparently. Party change is empty, is in battle, or have you exceeded the maximum amount? Okay. Okay. I think I did this a little bit backwards. I'll have to change that. Do you use signals at all, or do you stick with C# actions? I just started using C# actions everywhere. That way you can use the same code whether or not you're inside the Godot scene tree. Curious if you felt you got, yeah, I definitely do. I feel like I got the money's worth. Been hanging on using Sublime, but I've been dabbling in swapping to VS Code. Yeah, I think it's been great. I mean, like I said, even that, I was just gonna write out a variable, and it's not hard. It was literally just what, int max party size or something. But all I wrote was int, and then I turned over to chat, and it had already typed out max party size for me. It's like, oh, okay, save me the whatever that was, 2 seconds typing it. Am I using Vim motions? No, I don't use Vim motions. And hey, Bread Tim. Okay, so this is where I think I want this information to be. We'll have a maximum party size and we'll just listen here and it won't go into this thing. Yeah, let's delete this. So this will just be instance changed. And then we can make this private void instance changed. Yep. So we get the instance data. We need to set the max party size. That was in the wrong place because now it's over here and I want this over here. There we go. Get the instance data, of course. Sure. Now that's peculiar. Why is that? Does not contain a definition for party size. Oh, it's max num adventurers. Okay, so now I want to call this, but we can't because we don't have the adventurers here. I guess we could save this off. Like, what was your current party at the last time? There are a few ways we could do this potentially. One is I could okay. Yeah, one is I could keep track of the adventurers in this class and then be able to call this function again. Another is that I could set the start button to be enabled or disabled based on, like, I could just do this. Start button dot disabled equals, oh, we need to know how many adventurers you have. So no, this wouldn't be doable. Yeah, no matter what, we need to know how many adventurers you have. And the other thing that I was going to say is I could call from here into on battle party changed. But I mean, I guess we just have this battle party section, get adventurers. Could I just say that then in the party chooser? Get battle party? Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Public I read only list adventurer get battle party. Yeah. No, it had it typed out. I want that back. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now I can just use that from over here. On party changed. Party chooser dot get battle party. Okay, now in here we have a max party size, which I need to make sure that we set from the get-go. Make sure this is set at initialization time. It's possible that it's not set, in which case you can't start an instance. Maybe that's not a problem. Has too many adventurers is that. Where did that go? Yeah. All right, let's try it out. Yeah, I still haven't switched to the annual Copilot license, even though I would save a little bit of money doing that because I wasn't sure if I would end up trying a different company's one. There's, who is it that Tab 9 has like an AI auto complete now? What's it called? I don't remember what it's called. I mean, Tab 9 itself is autocomplete, but they have some other thing now. Tab 9. I'm going to find this. Nope, I'm not going to find it. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, what happened? Kippo got raided. You sure it has too many adventures and it knew what variables it needed to check for that? Super neat. Yeah, yeah. And that happens enough times and you're just like, whew, I don't even need to write out full lines of code. All right, but let's see if it works. So the forest allows for one party member. I'm going to hire a bunch of party members. We're going to click this. Okay, so now I click these things. Start is disabled. But start is disabled because we don't have any instance selected. So if I select an instance, now it's disabled because we don't have a party member. Now it's enabled, but as soon as we have two party members, it should be disabled. Yeah, but if we click the dungeon, it's okay because we're allowed to have two party members. Nice, 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 nice. Yeah, it's working exactly how I wanted it to. And if we were to join a battle, then we can't start because of that reason. But if we win that battle, then we can. Nice. So now it needs to tell you why you can't start a battle, because there are 4 reasons. And it's, yeah, I got to write all these down. This actually can be set to 0. So 4 reasons you can't start a battle would be you don't have any adventurers selected. 2 is you don't have an instance selected. 3 is you have an adventurer that is in battle already. And 4 is you have too many adventurers selected. Yeah. So when this button is disabled, we need to tell you, well, here it says click an available adventurer to add them to your battle party. What if we just always showed, can't show you that. I guess if you clicked these, you would know how to take them out of your party, although you probably also wouldn't care. I think there should maybe just be a message. Like, I'm just so bad at coming up with UI that I don't know the best way to do this. But one way we could do this at least is on the button itself, show the message. So it could say something like start battle, and then in parentheses, you have too many adventurers selected. It's kind of weird because it would make the button gigantic. So I don't think I like that. The other is, so this is like option number 1. Option number 2 is show the error in a tooltip and just render a like an exclamation mark symbol or something like that. Option number 3 is have a dedicated message section of the UI where it shows. I don't think this is going to be confusing for people who've played the game enough. Like once you're used to what you're doing here, it'll probably be obvious. But it might be a little confusing if you're like, wait, well, why can't I start? And then, well, we don't have a symbol showing that you're in battle. It's just faded out right now. I think we'll eventually have a symbol. Okay, well, the easiest thing to do is probably just show a message at the bottom of the UI. So let's do that for right now. Where do we put this? I guess in here, and I guess right above the start button, and I guess the start button shouldn't be gigantic like it is right now. How do we change that? Container sizing, shrink. Yeah. And at that point, I feel like there isn't a need for this guideline label. We can just hide that. Unless it's still clickable and it comes up after click. Yeah, but then it has to show you in a window that either automatically dismisses, in which case you might not have had time to read it, or it's a modal dialogue, in which case you have to click through it. I don't know, but like I said, I'm really bad at this. So I think I'm just going to put something here and just call this like error label. And it'll just be invisible by default. Yeah. Errors go here. Okay, so we can tell you why it's disabled here, and we can give you the most obvious first thing. But first, let's start by getting the label, error label. And then down here, we'll set an error message. So what's the most obvious thing? I guess if your party's empty, let's start with that one. So that's the very first thing, and that's the only message it should show. You need to have at least one adventurer in your party. Okay, great. Now, if that's not the case, if you have too many adventurers, then it doesn't matter if they're in battle. We're going to show you that message. You can only have max party size adventurers in your party. We should probably pluralize this correctly. String pluralized. Does it know what I want to do here? Yeah. Can only have at most pluralized in your party. Yeah. All right. If you have an adventurer in battle, can't start an instance. You can't start a battle. How do we say this? At least one of your adventurers is in battle already. And then there's a fourth problem that I mentioned, right? You don't have an instance selected. Yeah, that's actually the first problem we should have here. So if max party size equals 0, select a location to do battle. There we go. I just saw your message. Yeah. Yeah, Kipoga rated. Very nice of him. And nice of the, whatever, 1,900 people to stay here. Appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying your time. If what I'm doing looks like magic to you, feel free to ask. I am happy to answer any questions. And there are a lot of very common ones. How do you get into programming? Should I go to college? What's AI going to do to our jobs? I mean, some of these I have commands for, and some of them I just start rambling about. Okay, yeah, the error label should probably be red. Visibility, modulate, red. Maybe like a lighter red. Yeah, should AI go to college? Yes. AI's already been to all colleges simultaneously. What's your thing on adding, for example, an error for too many instead of not allowing more than max? Yeah, so in this particular case, here's the reason why I want to allow more than the maximum is because you might not know what instance you want to go to. So when you click Volcano, you can go into this battle. But when you click Dungeon, you can't. So I want you to just be able to form whatever party you want and then sort of decide, okay, where am I going? Or vice versa, like not really get in the way. Firetech, thanks for subbing. Welcome. AI has every known degree and still can't decide if you have 10 fingers or not, and what those fingers look like. Okay, so what are our 4 errors? Let's start at the beginning here. You either don't have an instance selected. This does not show an error. Oh, right. Oh my God. All right, else error label.hide. And in all these cases, we need error label.show. I guess we'll just put a bool. Oh no, we could just put it at the beginning. What am I doing? Yeah. This isn't really fair to call this on party changed anymore. Yeah, this should just be like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think we need to rename this though. Rename this since it's called on every kind of change, not just when the party changes. I want to try this again though. So the very first error that shows should be, it's still not showing. What's going on? Oh, because we don't call this function originally? Well, fine. On change, easy, done. Cannot convert from an I enumerable to a list. We don't actually need this to be a list, but we could just call to list on this. Yeah, function A, function B. There we go. All right, there we have it. Please select a location to do battle. So now we pick the location. Now it says you need to have at least one adventurer in your party. Now we click the party member. Now it says at least one of your adventurers is in battle already. So now we click win all battles. And now we try adding more characters. You can only have one adventurer in your party. Adventurer in your party. Please remove the extras. Technically, this needs to know how many extras you have. Int num extras equals, it should just know. Yeah, cool. Now we're going to pluralize that. And again, we don't have to type out pretty much any of this. Yeah, so nice. Please remove the pluralized. Now that's a fancy error message. For this battle, where? Oh, like you can only have this many in your party for this location. It could say choose a different location or remove an adventurer or something like that. Oh, let's try that out. So now if you have extras, you can only have one adventurer in your party. Wait, what? Didn't I write a thing? Is party empty? Oh, Motobo, thanks for gifting 5 subs. Wow. Yeah, welcome everybody. That's very kind of you, Motoboat. Very, very generous. Make generic place or location into arena for flavor. Yeah, that's a pass I would want to do a little bit later, I think. I think I'm okay with the wording not being perfect yet. Oh, I put this in the wrong spot. Yeah. You can only have this many in your party for this location. Remove the extras or choose a different location. Yeah. And I'll move this stuff down here. And this is going to be pluralized extra. Let's just call this pluralized 1. And now we can rename it to pluralized extra. And this is pluralized adventurer. Yeah. Okay. And then word wrap. So let's close that and go figure out word wrapping. So errors go here. If there is a very long error message, it will be wrapped. I guess we need a maximum size on the screen. So what if we set a maximum size? So this does not take up the full rectangle, but the top left. Yes, and then we set auto wrap word. And then we need a maximum size for this. We can't set a maximum size though, because the container decides that. Can the container have a maximum size? I don't know at all. I don't know how you would do this. Oh, I guess the size is going to be set to the maximum size needed by the grid. So if I were to just hide this label, why is this? Auto wrapping must have a custom minimum size. Oh, where's the minimum size? There it is. Minimum size will be set to, I don't know, what is it right now? Oh, there are pixels at the top. Okay, so then let's set it to a minimum size of 300. And the minimum height is 5. I don't know if the minimum height actually matters. This probably won't even wrap anyway. Oh, nice, it did. Wait, is it outside of the... No, I was gonna say it looks like this square here or whatever is the dialogue, but that's just a coincidence because that's where the town is. If I move this away, it doesn't look weird anymore. All right, now we grant most things, initialize this, choose this. You can only have one adventurer in your party for this location. Remove the extra or choose a different location. And now if I click another adventurer, it says remove the extras. Wow, but it also moved that onto another line. With that said, I don't really care. Whoa, what? Did that just swap locations? Something seems strange there. Maybe nothing was strange. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Cool. So we got all those reasons covered. Need to allow you to choose an instance and have it change how many party members you have. Yep. Choosing the instance itself could cause the start button to get disabled. Done. All right, let's make the start battle button functional. That's going to be nice. Then we can remove the other buttons. Remove the other buttons. We still need some way of knowing that you've completed all of this. We probably need to know if you've completed each instance, in which case we need to save that data somewhere and then load it to. All right. Start battle, start instance, start battle, start button. There it is. All right, so we need to listen to this thing's pressed event and then do something. It can only be pressed if it's enabled. So that means we've already made sure that the conditions are all correct. And then we need to call into the town. We don't have, oh wait, we do have it right there. Would you look at that? All right, well, let's just emit a signal then. Easy peasy. Yeah, we're gonna take this over to here. Call this on start battle. It's an action that passes in your party. So we need an I read only list of adventurers. Yeah. How long did it take you to get used to that keyboard navigation style? About a month or 2 months. But I was just saying this earlier. I made a video on, is it this? Yeah, I made a video on this. So I switched to Colmac a little over a year ago, and that took about a year. And it's really weird because, and I mentioned this in the video, but like I typed on QWERTY for my entire life minus about a year. And I think the way you learn typing is by making every possible mistake on all the words that you type. So, you type "te" enough times that you eventually learn to just type "the." And that's, okay, pretty easy. You type "the" very often in English. But then there are a lot of other bigrams that you don't type all that frequently, like QW. QW pretty much only shows up in QWERTY, right? So it's also pretty easy to type on a QWERTY keyboard because of the top left two keys. But yeah, sometimes you come across something that you just never typed before. Like pluralize is a little bit weird in that you type like LUR. I don't think that's a very common trigram. So you make a mistake on that a lot of times, and then you eventually get it in your muscle memory. And that's why I think switching to Colmac took about a year, and now I feel comfortable with it. But yeah, I really like using a keyboard like this. I like that it doesn't take up a lot of space. There's no real movement. There's a lot of benefits. I just don't use it for gaming. JKLO. This is actually a surprised looking face. All right, so where's the pressed event? On start battle, that's going to happen from here. So start button dot pressed plus equal on start dot invoke, which you can't do that way. Yeah, that's too bad. But even if you could do it this way, I guess we need to invoke it with the the party choosers, get adventurers, get battle party. It's the start button, yeah. Do you think you'll try Dvorak? No, I do not think I'm going to switch again, hopefully the rest of my life. I do not want to spend another year feeling like I am covering old ground. And even Colmac, I wanted to try it at some point, and on a whim one day I said, today's the day, I'm going to do it. And I tanked my productivity for the next like 2 weeks. It's just so difficult. Really, I urge anyone who's at least mildly interested in this to watch this video that I did. But that learning process is very tough because typing is something you kind of take for granted. It's like when you're sick and you can't, I don't know, you don't have the energy to do something. And you're like, oh man, I wish I were better. I know that eventually I will be better and I will have the energy to do it. I don't really need to do anything to not be sick. My body will just take care of it. But when you're learning how to type, you don't know for sure, like, have you forgotten how to learn? Maybe it takes, 20 years to get better. There's just a lot of questions it brings up. And yeah, that was tough. All right, so on start battle is here. We go to the town. We go to the start instance thing. We want to set this up. So start instance. This isn't really on start battle. This is like on choose battle party. And I guess now that I think about it, we also need to pass in an instance ID, don't we? Yeah. On choose instance party. Yeah, whatever, that's better. And now we need to know which instance is selected, which we have no idea. Oh, how nice. We need it from the instance list. Okay, well, we can get that. Do we save it? We do. Oh, we'll just make this public then. And then let's rename this to selected instance ID, get private set. Yeah. Light beard. It doesn't matter though if it's high pressure or not, because if you have any work, you want to do that work at a certain speed. But even if it's not work, even if it's just responding to people over chat messages, you still feel like I expect it to take a certain amount of time and it takes triple or quadruple. I don't think taking my productivity is the best idea. Yeah, and the other thing too is, I think one of the reasons to maybe tank your productivity, let's say, well, you can just measure your typing speeds. Let's say you're typing at like 50 words per minute. And let's say that you assume by switching, you'll get to like 100. Okay, that could make sense. Tank your productivity for a bit so you can double it eventually. But that's not how I think it worked in my case. I think I'm back up to my QWERTY speed, and I don't think it's going to go any higher than that. So I really just had a net loss of productivity. And the theory of why I even did this is that I have less finger travel, so hopefully it means less finger strain and less hand strain. And that's really hard to measure, right? You don't know how much damage you're doing to your tendons or joints every single day. You can't really quantify that. So who knows? Maybe in the end, it was a net positive in terms of strain, but it was a net negative in terms of productivity. Been in IT for 23 years, and this different keyboard layout is blowing my mind. It's really surprisingly usable once you do get used to it. I'll show you a little bit about the key map here. Oh, I have it as keyboard. There we go. There. So there is the letters layer. So it's Q, W, F, P, B, etc. For most keyboards, you'd see QWERT here. Then symbols and numbers and functions and navigation. Excuse me. So those are all my main layers. But then I have some keys that do a couple of different things depending on the function. So this left thumb key here is new tab. But if I press this key before it, then it's new window. And there are probably other combinations there. Oh yeah, if I press this key before it, then it's go to the address bar. And if I press this key before it, it's find. This is like my magic key that does 4 different things depending on what I press. And it's because all those functions are very often used and I have them on a thumb key. Sounds familiar? Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, Vim key bindings are pretty obnoxious on Colmac because I have J and L right up here, and then K down here and H down here. All right, so getting the instance ID is something we can just do. And we want this here for the instance list. Now, what's the problem there? Invoke takes an instance ID, and this, oh, this might not be set. Yeah, so we do that. Except for we can't do that. We need to do that value. There. Now what? Nullable value type may be null. Yeah, well, it's not. So, nah. Fine. If the instance list doesn't have it, then we'll just throw an error. I don't know how that would be possible. And now that I look at this, I think we should just have a private function that handles this. So it'd be like private void. What do we call the event? Choose instance party. So maybe chose instance party. Start battle. It's called start battle. And then we'll put all of this stuff in there. And that way, this can just say start battle. Good. All right. Over on the town side of things, we have started battle, except for it's not going to be called that. It's going to be called chose instance party, which hopefully doesn't exist. And I called it Barty. Very funny to me. That's... Why is this here? Why is that there? Should only be here. Yeah, did I mess something up? I think I messed something up. Oh, no. Yeah, I messed something up. Oh, darn it. Okay, so started battle already existed. I don't want to call it start battle. I want to call it on chose instance party. And then I want to go make this function. Yeah. Be nice if it just put this at the bottom of the list. Yeah, that. Buy your current keyboard 4 or 5 more times in case it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. If this keyboard just stopped working, it would probably just force me to build another one. And I wouldn't probably enjoy doing that, but I would if it were necessary. Okay, so how do you start a battle right now? We just pass in an instance ID. How do you tell it to... Oh, wow, that's pretty easy. So wait, we just call this. And instead of get first available, which returns a list, we return this list. And we call this adventures. I think that'll work. Wow, that would be great. Let's try that out. Keyboard I used to use a while ago was some like literally $5 keyboard that we had, I don't know, 4 copies of. The thing is, it never really broke. So even though they were super cheap, never really needed the other ones. Yeah, the mouse I use, I think it's common enough right now. It's the Logitech G600. For anyone who hasn't seen this mouse, it's one of the ones with a ton of thumb buttons. But one of the nice things about this is it's got a ring finger button over here. And when you hold that, it changes the function of everything else. So as an example, I have, if I just press these buttons, it's left and right, but those same buttons can be move tab left or right. So depending on whether I have my ring finger held, it does something different. That is very nice. I use a ton of functions. So moving windows around and maximizing, any text editing, I can type a space or backspace or enter. All right, how are we looking here? So if I click forest and rogue and start, it started in the forest with the rogue. Wow, makes sense. Now I click win, and now I can go to the dungeon and start. Nice. Now the volcano. Nice. Now let's get some other adventurers here. Start. Nice. It's all working. And actually, you should be able to change the order. It's Rogue Mage Warrior, although they're here in Rogue Warrior Mage. Is it random? What's going on there? Oh no, this is just broken. Rat also, yeah, Drat. I don't know what's happening there. We were so close. This should be on chose instance party. Is this not passing in the list of adventurers? Party chooser.get battle party. What? What's happening then? Get adventurers. Yeah, I don't see what's happening. How did it pick the wrong ones? Started battle.invoke. This happens from somewhere else. We just say get first available adventurers, for instance. This is, I guess, technically not random, but this isn't even being called. At least I hope not. Let's just put a breakpoint here. And I guess also put a breakpoint here. Yeah. Going for the world record of the most functions used. That'll show everybody. All right, so grant most things, enable this. We want mage, warrior, cleric, volcano, start. Well, it didn't scroll down to the thing. So we should have the, this is gonna be impossible to read. Oh, I made a function for this, didn't I? Debug print or something like that? Guess it doesn't help if you don't know what we called it. Debug print info, yes, that. All right, let's debug print info on adventurers 0. That didn't help. I want to know what this has. No. Can we... I have another idea, but this probably won't work all that well. There's some way of saving an entity. Get entity save data. Can we do that? Entity save data. What's in here? Venture. Hey, there it is. Mage. Okay, that looks correct. Now, what is this one? Warrior. And the last one should be the cleric. Cleric, yeah. This is dumb. And this is something that should be an unrelated cleanup. Change debug print info to take a Boolean of whether to print everything. I could just print the save data. Yeah, that would help quite a lot. All right, well, we got the 3 that we wanted, so now what? Now it should just work, right? Yeah, I don't know what order they're being added in. That part is strange to me. But they were added at least. Now if I click that again, start battle, I'm just gonna hit the play button here. Yeah, they were added correctly there too. How did this problem happen earlier? Oh, maybe I clicked start level 3 battle? I would need to watch the VOD though. This button would have used random people. This button shouldn't use random people. That's the only thing I could think of, but I would have needed to win all of... I did win all of them though, because I went through all of these. Yeah, maybe that's what I did. Is it a C# only thing, a plugin, custom code? It's custom code. The ECS thing, so are you familiar? Do you want me to explain this? Because I'm happy to explain, but it's an entity component system. Used it before in Unity. Okay, yeah, you're familiar then. Yeah. Yeah, so Godot does not have that by default. And the way that this is done is we add a node that literally just has a bunch of components underneath it. So whenever we want to fetch the components of a node, we first check for its component holder, and then we can get the components it has. And then from there, it's pretty much what you'd expect. Like a health component has life, and a target location component has a location. Better learn default Vim motion keybind or use someone else's config. I think if you're on a QWERTY keyboard, it's probably better to just learn the default ones. And part of the reason why is because if you're ever on someone else's computer, you might want to use the default ones, or even a new computer. You just don't want to send your config over, although probably that's not a scenario that really exists, so it doesn't matter too much. I use custom keybinds because I've been inheriting what I've been switching through different text editors over the years. I was using something called Cite a while ago, and then I switched to Sublime, and then I switched to VS Code. So there are some shortcuts that Cite chose that I just kept inheriting as I switched. So now I think Command D is the like multi-cursor shortcut in VS Code, but not for me. It's duplicate line for me. I think this is just working. Yeah. Wow. I am feeling pretty good about this actually. This UI looks pretty bad, right? Like it's not a beautiful UI. Yeah, sure, there are error messages. It's communicating what it needs to though. And I think it's clear enough how you use it. I think this should probably be deleted. Get rid of, what's it called? Guideline text or something? Party section, guideline label. Get rid of guideline label, or at least maybe just put it in, I don't know what I want to do with that. Put it in the error message. Yeah. This represents a decent amount of work to get this to look better though. But hey, to get it to be functional, it's not too bad. Should probably put the whole thing inside of a panel container too. Put the start instance UI inside of a panel to make it look nicer. Put the skill tree inside of a panel to make it look nicer. Maybe highlight to indicate that they're clickable. Yeah, I think that would be good. It's a good suggestion. Highlight party members to indicate that they're clickable. Yeah, thanks, Paleface. Trying out Copilot's going well so far. Interesting. Wow. By the way, I've never seen this error, but I'm actually interviewing the person who's responsible for this error in a week and 2 days. That'll be the interview with Sharon on July 19th. Because that was the first thing she told me when I was like, hey, what do you do at GitHub? And she's like, you know that message? I'm like, no. But now I know what that message is. And in 2 days, we're interviewing Mel, by the way. Works at Twitch. I'm looking forward to those. Google Ads AI is like that. So bad. I think they just have to really err on the side of caution. And yeah, it can be frustrating when you're doing something like what Ski is trying to do. And, you know, this is clearly a valid, like, hey, format this document. That's like, I cannot do that for you. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty happy with this. I think we're at the point where it's just clean up the commit. Which may or may not be easy. All right, let's go see. So, there's something hilarious about watching my cat like burst through the door by pushing it open with her face. All right, I want to do a save. I should really do this the way that Godeek talked about. I'm going to write a note to myself to do that. Figure out the whole make a new branch to save all of my code thing in Git. How can I get the VS Code theme? I think I have a VS Code theme command. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Most of the things that you might have a question about on the stream, if you go to a.bot.land, it's just a link to the command database. So yeah, things like the theme or the keyboard or the game itself. But yeah, there's a link to it. Hello, cat. Do you want to come up? Yes, you do. What a good cat. Oh, she's stepping on everything. Okay, we zoom out now. We show Abby. Well, work is over. No, work's not over. I do want to clean this up. However, I also want to pet this soft cat. Oh, did she close chat? Oh, darn it. You can't do that, Abby. Can't close chat. Looks a bit strange when the start button jumps up and down. Might look nicer when the error text below the button. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I'll copy that. Okay. I touch the keyboard now. I touch the keyboard now. Okay. No. Stop. I gotta stop. Okay. Nope. She sneezed. Bless you, cat. All right, you want to come sit down? Yes? Good. Good. Now, park your little butt here. Good cat. Oh, she's so adorable. She's purring. Hey, Malarius. Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I was coding because I didn't have a cat at the time, but now we have a cat. And when she's on here, it's very difficult to code because she steps on my keyboard and she starts biting at my wrist. Okay, park it. You sit here. Good cat. But yeah, the people are from Kitboga. I cannot claim credit for this, and I doubt many of them are even here right now exactly. They're probably doing something else and have just left their computer on, their browser open. Cats have a harder time accidentally shutting down the stream. It might be easier actually, because there is a close tab button. Although I guess it's in another layer. This is Abby, by the way. Did she seriously get this? Yeah. This is her cute little face. She's so soft and nice. Okay, I want to clean this up. Oh, but I wanted to save everything off first. Let's go do that. How are you doing, Malarius? Games, source. I'll just save everything. I doubt I'm going to break anything all that badly. But still, let's just put this in temp. There. Wow, is that gigantic because of the builds? Yeah, probably this. Get info. 232 megabytes. Yep, well, you're gone. Goodbye. Now this really shouldn't be that big. 351 megabytes. What? What is doing that? The assets? No, it's like 1 megabyte. Scenes? What is taking up that much space? Because none of that looks like it's taking up a lot. 1 megabyte. 20 kilobytes. What? I'm very confused. How does this say 351 megabytes then if all the individual folders are small? I don't know. I don't really care. Let me find out where chat went. Great background stream while I'm also coding. Yeah, I think that's what most people use my stream for, is productivity boost. All right, let's fix the green screen thing. Yeah. Hidden generated code. It's that big though? Hey, Akarok. All right, let's start looking through this list. So this entire thing is new. So let's just look at it like this, I guess. Instance grid, highlight rect, selection rect. This should be read only, apparently. Elements should be separated by a blank line. A field should not follow a property. Read only should appear before non-read only. I just wish it did this stuff for me. An event should not follow a property. Did we finish it? What's this? A field should not follow a property? I don't know if that's even real at this point. Oh yeah, maybe there's a hidden folder there. I didn't think about that. Where's that? How do you show hidden folders? There. What's in this one? Oh, there it all is. 350 megabytes. What's in here that's making it do that? The whole editor? No, it's not the whole editor. But it's something in here. We'll just leave that too. There we go. Yeah. So now I'm guessing this is very minimal, like 4 megabytes or something. 2.4 megabytes. Not bad at all. All right. A field should not follow a property. Where is the property this is following? And where? No, none of this is real. I'm just going to close this. Hey, Wendy. It's going well. You know, I responded to you in a joking manner, and I'm like, did I offend Wendy? I don't think it's possible to offend you. But yeah. I cannot be offended. Yeah. First time at his and yours, enjoying this while working so far. Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah. Yeah, I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm just doing game dev probably the rest of the year, sprinkled with some mentoring and some interviews. So the mentoring stuff, I have a whole thing on here. I've done 6 sessions with 3 mentees, except for one of the mentees. So I guess I've done 17 sessions so far with them. And then the interviews, I've only done 2. But I've got another 2 planned for the next 9 days. So there's very rarely non-game dev content and that involves other people, but most of the time it's just game dev. Hey again, Broken Crown. So we're talking barbecue sauce on a pizza. Not your thing. I like this one, Paul Rock. How you doing? All right, instance list. Yes, we finally fixed this. Okay, so yeah, this instance grid being this thing, I think that means we can just delete it. Although it is kind of nice to have it, because I might end up putting something else here. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. All right, so mouse entered, we don't need to do anything special. Mouse exited, we do need to do something special. Setup instance grid should be before this. Mouse entered is now just gone. Write a note about how this won't work with variably sized rows. Yeah. So gets. Why would I even do this? Why don't I just have like a set highlight rect? Selection rect. No. This is get row rectangle. Yeah, this is named incorrectly. Get row rect. It's the bounding rectangle of a row based on the given position. This function will not work if the rows are not all the same height. Yeah, perfect. Wow, it even writes out comments for me. All right. Life is intense. Had intended a witty retort to the abuse, but got pulled away. Abuse. Haha, what are you talking about, Wendy? I made some UK jokes. Just about different vernacular, by the way. Nothing crazy. Like the word bloke and something else. I don't remember what. Anyway, no worries. I figured you were busy. Life has been pretty crazy here too. It's actually what my today command is about. I have been just doing too much. And normally, I was mentioning this earlier, but work-life balance is typically like work is too much. But in my case, it's actually life is too much. And I want to do a little bit more work and I just need the energy for it. Tired, had great plans for the day and I got none of them done. Is it because more things came up or you just didn't have the energy? Because that's what yesterday was for me. I just felt like I cannot do anything. So I did nothing. And it was nice to just kind of take a day off. At the same time, it's hard for me sometimes to deal with that. I read a book a while ago called Laziness Does Not Exist. And I recommend reading a summary of this book, but not actually reading the book. because the book is too long. I went through it all, and I feel like the takeaways are pretty much a lot of people beat themselves up for being lazy, but it could be something else. Either that you're doing too much, or that you have some underlying condition, maybe something like ADHD, or you're not giving yourself credit for enough things. It could be anything like that. And I very much suffer from that. I think I do a ton, and my general problem is that not giving myself enough credit. I remember one time thinking like I did nothing this weekend, and then I actually wrote out the things I did, and it was like a very long list. And for whatever reason, I summed it all up as nothing. And when you think about yourself that way, then you think, well, I was unproductive, but I was actually super productive and just didn't give myself credit. So yeah, yesterday it's easy to look at it like I was lazy. I just watched a bunch of YouTube, but I think I just needed a day off. What, IDE/UI? This is all VS Code. And the theme is, I think, Atom 1 Dark. Well, Vivid, Atom 1 Dark Vivid. And I happen to put this bar over on the right instead of the left. I think most people have it on the left side. And while you're doing nothing, you're thinking of all the productive things you could be doing. I tend to be like that a little bit too. I have a to-do list for the day, and one of the big things I learned is just try to put like 1 to 3 important things on it. And it all depends on whether it's in the context of work or not. Like today, I have to take out the trash. If I don't take out the trash, it's not going to get collected. So yeah, that's important, but it's also not really something that's like so important or so difficult to do that I feel like it takes up one of those slots. Yeah. All right, I'm very slowly cleaning up this command. We're gonna get there. Yeah, so that custom draw code, I think I want to write this here in the Godot UI stuff. Where is it? Godot UI. Yeah, here it is. Tended to be used for size and position. Control nodes sort of break this. I'll write this. As an example, at one point, I wanted to make a grid container with highlightable rows. So I thought I would use a color rect in conjunction with the grid. But due to how container positioning works, it was actually much easier to override draw. Godot draw arbitrary. Now I'll just leave it like that. Custom drawing. Here it is. Yeah. There. Okay, so set of instance grid. We have 4 columns, and there are these header values. I guess we don't really need to do it this way. We could have just said a string header values equals that, and then iterate over all of them and add them in. Yeah. And this could have just been done like this, I guess. There. Having trouble creating a custom input system supporting both mouse and keyboard and gamepad. Trying to use the strategy pattern to define inputs. Any tips? I haven't seen what people have made for this. I would actually say to look at the asset library, because a lot of these are open source, and they might have something like, why can't I search? What's going on? Huh. Well, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't actually type in here. Oh, requires an online connection. What? I am online. Controller rebind? That was weird. Okay, well, I don't know how you find this, but maybe this isn't the best way of doing things. Yeah, anyway, I think with any general algorithmic problems, it's usually try to simplify it down to like 2 or 3 things and figure out if it would work with that. Although I guess then you could run into a different problem, which is that it only works for a small amount of things that you want to do. Like the way I would think about doing it, and I haven't put a lot of thought into this, is I would have some concept of actions that you could perform. So maybe there's like a fire button to shoot a weapon. And I'd probably save somewhere which key or button it's bound to. and then check for that button or key in an input handler. But yeah, I guess you'd quickly want this inside of a map somewhere or some object to handle these things. But yeah, when in doubt, try to find where other people have done this stuff too. And there's a lot of open source Godot stuff, so hopefully you can find an example. So let's see if this stuff makes sense. Get all the instance data, add all of the data to the table. Then add that we have this instance ID selected here. Yeah. We could actually select the first one by default. That way there's never an issue here. In fact, maybe that's best to do. Why should we have you select it? But I think we should keep track of which one you have selected. Keep track of which instance you have selected. If there isn't one, just select the first one in the list. Have I just been missing PR days? Dark was sick for a very long time. And then Dark mentioned kind of lacking motivation, excuse me. And I just haven't had the bandwidth to like follow up on this stuff and kind of inquire and ask. And I feel bad because I feel like I'm dropping the ball. And I'm just so focused on this July 26th, like deadline. Not really a deadline. No, I don't. The kappa means you shouldn't feel bad. Kappa's the I'm being sarcastic face. So you have a get out of jail free card. Yeah, I think we want to do this. Then maybe don't have the instance ID be nullable. We could get rid of an entire error message that way. Where is that error message? Start instance. This one, please select the location to do battle. Yeah. There we go. Show up as custom data types would make it easier to decide on how to tackle structuring data for things as specific as this. Perhaps it doesn't C#. I don't know. I don't tend to use the inspector for a lot of things. I'm not sure what would happen if you exposed something into the inspector, and I think there's a way to do it, so I could probably try it for you really fast. Is it export? Yeah, it's export. Okay, so if we just put in a public dictionary string bool testeroni and then put export above this. Exported member is read-only or whatever. All right, let's see what that looks like now. Spectre might be out of date. It's good that they put that there. Failed to build. Testeroni is read-only. I didn't know that was an error. The type of the exported member is not supported. Okay, yeah, you can't have an arbitrary dictionary, I guess. Yeah. I guess in GD script you probably could because there is dynamic typing. Is localization something you're considering? Maybe better to plan for that now with a few strings you have rather than refactoring it all later. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. And I do wonder how hard it would be to localize all this stuff later. But I guess I should just add that as an item to consider. Because it's the kind of thing I don't want to add to the development time of every feature. I don't have anything about this. Yeah, okay, I'll just write that down. Unrelated. File a task on localizing everything. We may want a string database. All right, how are we doing on this now? Yeah, I don't like this code. Get the row and then check to see if the row is in bounds. I guess there should just probably be a check for whether something is a valid row. Where do we do this? This check should exist twice, right? Yeah, here. divided by the number of columns. Yeah. Yeah, but this is all happening from get row from mouse position. So maybe we should have this return -1 if it's invalid. Yeah. -1 if the row is invalid. Okay. Now I have to actually make it do that. Wait. Less than or equal to 0. That would mean the header. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe we should just make a function that checks to see if it's invalid. Like, is selected row the header row? Header row is what I was saying, but it sounds like a homophone for hetero. I'll do it this way for now. I think that's fine. No, we need to check anyway. Yeah, might as well call another function. Okay, fine. I don't like this idea. Delete you and make a new thing. Private bool is row valid. Int row. So it has to be greater than 0 and less than the number of rows that we have. Yeah. So if not is row valid. All right, much simpler code. Became a pretty large task for us toward the end of early access, which is why I'm mentioning it now. It certainly does slow down dev and is a large task no matter what. Yeah, I wonder, you probably have more text in the game too. Although I get that every little button might need a different string, even if they all just say okay on them or something. You can only export variant compatible types. I see. Yeah. All right, almost all of these GD prints need to go away. There's apparently only one. Yeah, I just saw some green and I thought I must be printing something. Okay, so what's this? This is if you were just moving the mouse. This is if you've actually clicked. We set this position and then we do all this. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna make a private function here. Private void handle left click. And we need to take in the event and then put all of this stuff there. And just do that. Handle left click. Okay, that makes the tabbing a little bit easier. I don't want to make a function out of just 2 lines. I don't think that's important. All that stuff. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Looks good. This is a bit peculiar. This I think we need a comment for. Rows are valid. The header row is considered invalid, as are any indices that are totally out of bounds. Yeah. Bounding rectangle of a row based on the given position. This function will not work if the rows are not all the same height. Cool. Oh yeah, the whole truncation thing. Actually, there's a language that people make called like pseudo language or something like that. Or maybe it's just called pseudo, I don't know, where strings are the same general string. So like instead of okay, you would form it out of something like a 0 and a capital K and maybe a 4 and like a special looking Y. And some of these characters would just have arbitrary like extra characters added onto them. And that way you'd be able to test while still being able to read what the string is, because it looks kind of like English. I think that's a pretty good idea for testing. Because yeah, I guess German has this problem quite a lot, where the English equivalent is a much smaller word. So yeah, your UI doesn't look good anymore. But yeah, I don't think it's worth adding the dev time now. I think the other thing too is it's like, how well does the game have to do in terms of money in order to make localization worthwhile? Like if a game sells for, let's say, $1,000 total, or that's how much revenue it makes, it's probably not worth even localizing it, right? Maybe all of the languages combined to make you like $400 and it costs you that much just to localize it. So yeah, what does the revenue have to be? And yeah, I don't know. But that's the kind of thing I think is worth considering for sure. I think this looks good. Let's go over to what changed in all instance data. I just manifested some new data. Yeah. Oh, I never took the cost into account. Whoops. Take the cost into account when starting a battle. Oh, also take the cost into account as an error message. You may not have enough money. And then the amount of money you have may change as you're on that screen. So we need to update the button dynamically. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. This this is kind of weird that I even have data in there, but I think it's fine. It's all garbage. Start instance. Offsets changed. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Skill button, we got rid of something there. That is not something that should be checked in as part of this. And I think I changed that in 2 locations. Yeah, here too. Okay, so then let's check in just those things. Remove unnecessary code. I was calling a base function that should have no purpose. Looks good. Looks good except for started battle doesn't need to exist there at all, I think. I don't know about that. Could probably remove the started battle signal or event from town. I think it's pretty much the same as the new one that I added, which is on chose instance party. Party chooser is just doing this. Yeah, that's fine. And start instance, what changed here? Okay, let's look through that. Error label, max party size. Do we use max party size here? Yep. Okay, so it's just on party change that I don't like. What do we name it? All this is really doing is showing error messages and setting the start button property correctly. So this would be like set start button state. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we don't want to take in this list of adventurers anymore. We instead want to fetch it ourselves from that. And now we need to go do all of this stuff. So everywhere that called this function needs to change. Yeah, like this won't work. On battle party change took in the list. We don't need that. Yeah, this can go. All right, where else is there a problem? Here. That'll only work if it's been initialized. Yeah, it has. Yeah. Yeah, Intuit just laid off 10% of the company. It's apparently 1,800 employees. I know someone who was working there. Although they said that the severance was really good. Yeah, they said it wasn't due to needing to save money. They said it was some restructuring around AI, I think. And I gotta say, people do ask about the whole like, is AI taking jobs or anything? And I've always kind of said the same thing, which is I don't think AI is going to replace individual people. I think it's going to make people more efficient to the point where you just don't need as many, but there are still people doing each of the jobs, or more or less. I think it has replaced a lot of content writers. But yeah, I think these are signs that that's happening. Like, because Intuit pretty much just came out and said that. Yeah, they plan to hire folks, but I think they said that they were. I only read the article quickly. It was something like people to maintain these new systems we plan on building, do more AI stuff. Everyone's adopting the Amazon philosophy. Well, if you're going to do layoffs, I feel like getting rid of the low performers probably makes the most sense and probably causes the least upheaval. I think the way Amazon does it is it's every cycle they get rid of the lowest performers. But I got to say, I think if you're a big company and you're run by shareholders, I feel like there are probably pressures to do that, and then it's hard to avoid it. But I hope I never run a public company. Because I think that's how you avoid it, is by just not having the external pressure to raise a share price. But yeah, once you're in that state where you have a share price and you have shareholders and your butt is on the line, I think it's tough. All right, I think this is looking much better now. Yeah, as the only coder I know in the company, you're also the bottom performer. And yeah, I think they said something about hiring workers in different locations. I don't think they were all overseas, though. Intuit stock is down today after the layoffs. Yeah, I don't know how this typically goes. I don't know if layoffs are immediately like, hey, spike the stock, or if it's dump it and it'll later recover. I think the revenue's up. I think people will eventually, it'll just go back to what it was. I'm doing what's called outsider trading right now. I know nothing about their stock. That shouldn't show. Errors go here. Oh, because I never initialized it, I guess. And now you can't even select it. Well, isn't that nice? There are only 91 errors we have to handle. What happened here? Instance grid is not a thing. Instance grid should have been deleted. Where else does that exist? Yeah, I mean, this looks a lot cleaner when you don't have a grid everywhere. All right, let's try that out. Hasn't done outright layoffs. Yeah, actually, really, I guess you're right. Most of the companies that I could think of that are big have done layoffs, and some of them multiple rounds. You'd have an adventurer in your party. I feel like we should probably just put your first adventurer into the party. Yeah, we probably should do that. Why make you do this? Probably put your first adventurer into the battle party rather than the available adventurers section. Game's looking better and better. Thanks, 50k Cal. Yeah, you gonna deploy this with Borg? No. Yeah, I really like that this is coming together, this part of it. And this is the full UI. You can put different adventurers into a party. Probably should highlight them red, maybe, when you have too many. I'm not sure. I'll think about that, though. Consider highlighting party member names red if you have too many party members. Or maybe highlight them red. Or maybe outline them red, I mean. How would we even outline them? We could have a custom draw. Yeah. Could have a custom draw function on the party member class. I want to check this in. I want to check it in. Let's .NET format this, and then let's make sure it all looks good one more time. Like this, I think, is the anchors thing. Yeah, let's just delete that. All because I showed a thing using the town. So we'll get rid of this. All right, one last quick look through this. Make sure nothing looks too crazy. Can you draw outside of the bounds of this? What if I set this to -50? Or, well, negative 500, negative 50 doesn't make a difference. I wonder if that works. Because if so, I kind of do want to add some padding here. Oh, you can. Oh, cool. Yeah, let's add a little bit of padding. All right, so const int x padding equals 5. So we say negative x padding, and then in the size, we add padding times 2 to account for both sides. Looks good to me. Hey, Jay. All right, there. That's slightly better, right? It's going outside the bounds of this thing a little bit. I think it looks better than just abruptly ending. And we could also do the same with the y value there. Are there errors? Why is this so... Yeah, there are errors. Value cannot be null. Start instance. I'm not even pressing start instance. Oh, it's the name of the class, right? Start instance. All right, what did I break? Adventurers. Component can't be null. Oh, this is... Oh, darn it. This is a problem with us having not initialized the class. Oh. There... Oh. There shouldn't be a battle party. Party member dot adventure. Yeah, this is null. This is null because I have it populated with garbage data. Okay, we need to delete this. Party. Oh, darn it. I don't like doing this. Oh, you know what we could do? We could just wipe this out. Where are those things created? What scene is this? Party chooser. Yeah. Wait, no, that's not party chooser. That's actually this party section. Yeah, party section. Party section, when it's created, should just have its stuff deleted. Yeah, this clear thing. This should happen from here. Delete the placeholders from the editor. Let's see if that works. So now that UI should be totally bogus at first, but it shouldn't be producing errors. Yeah, there's just nothing in this. But if we initialize it, which we do with the home key, and then add this, then we can start a battle. Yeah. Did it work? Yeah. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. Man, there's been a lot of work that's gone into this. Somehow I fell asleep during a different stream. Maybe Kiboga's stream. I'm working on a game called Skeleseller, which is what you're seeing now. It's a game where you run a town and you have these adventurers who do battle for you. And when they win a battle, you get items in your town, which your characters then go and stock a shop. And then these customers can go buy the item. And then you can upgrade your adventurers, get more adventurers. I can't easily show this because I'm still working on the UI, but there's a skill tree under here. And if I click this button, yeah, there's no way to do this. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm in a state I can't totally show this stuff right now. But yeah, then eventually you start doing, more battles at a time. Whoops, got to delete that. You start doing more battles at a time. And that way you're getting more items. So we can win all those at once. Your adventurers will go and pick up the items. So it's a really laid back, there's no losing. You're just progressing the game. It's not something that goes on infinitely. You will eventually get to the end of the game. And yeah, just hopefully have fun doing it. Did he raid here? Yeah, he raided here. Oh, that was another thing I never figured out, is why are these in a different order sometimes? Are we randomizing this somehow? I don't think it matters, but I think it might be easier for the user. Figure out why the battle order seems to be random, or the adventurer order in battle seems to be random. I think it would be clearer to players if the order in the UI matched what they see in a battle. I'm probably just scrambling it somewhere. So it's an idle game. It's pretty much an idle game, yeah. I don't like that term because when I think idle game, I think typically infinite gameplay, typically microtransactions, typically like these human unreadable numbers, like 1E37 and stuff, or on like non-human scale numbers, I should say. And I think this combination of stuff I think is a little insidious, especially with the microtransactions. It plays on this just innate need you have to see numbers rise and like feel like you're making progress. And since it never ends, then your microtransactions are essentially pointless. A lot of these games have something like just 2x coins forever. It's like, yeah, because it doesn't matter. The forever is like you're just numbers are just going to get from 1E37 to 2E37, and that's not really a difference in these games. He almost never raids. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we met each other in real life back at what was it, a conference? Not a conference. The first stuff that happened, first robotics years and years ago. So yeah, we've been in touch ever since. Call create instance adventures sample. Yeah, okay, so I'm sampling the adventures. Yeah. I'm sampling the adventures somewhere. Did I ever check this in? I don't even think I did. I think I was testing it and then I just never finished. And I was, oh yeah, I was looking at the padding. Okay, well, I'm glad I did that. And Ski said it looks better. So it must look better. Looks good, looks good. I'm not doing a full review right now. That would be nuts. I could never go at this speed. But I already looked at all this stuff and I'm just making sure I didn't leave in any gauze in my surgery patient. And I see no gauze. So what do we do here? Make the instance list. You can now select the instance and it'll respect the party size and yeah, party size and yeah. I'll just say you can now select the instance and start a battle from the new UI. The cost isn't taken into account yet. All right, if I publish this, this is a new branch, right? What is this? Instance prep. Yeah, publish. Origin. Nice. Yeah. Very good. Now I can't lose that code. Well, GitHub could go offline. Or GitHub could just decide, you know what, we're going to delete one repo at random. They roll the dice and it comes up 422 million and mine goes away. How many dice are they rolling, you ask? Just one. It's a 422 million sided die. All right, cleanup commit is done. We have made great progress. I started this, yesterday afternoon, and I'm pretty happy with where we are now because this is functional, but it's not perfect yet, and we need to clean up another couple things. I'm hoping that life hasn't completely overwhelmed me and that tomorrow I'll get a chance to clean this up. And I say this every Wednesday that, oh, tomorrow I'm going to get rid of all these items, and then I don't. Friday's stream, I will be starting late. Worked on the instance and party chooser because I have a doctor's appointment in the morning. It went very well. Yeah. It's more likely than winning the lottery. 1 out of 422 million. I just made up that number, by the way. I don't know how many repos there are. I'd be pretty surprised if it was in the 400 millions though. Before you finish the stream, thoughts on 181. Let's go take a look. Consider adding benchmarks. Regular patch doesn't work. Classic interop issue. Is it worth implementing? We implemented testing, but we haven't ran a single test yet. Have the branch ready to PR. I just don't know if we'll ever need to benchmark anything. I'd probably just publish this as another branch and just leave it in that branch until we need it. Unless it's fully isolated code that could be kept in main, sort of like our tests, and we just don't use it then. But yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to say because we're not at the point where benchmarking matters yet. Like the game runs smoothly enough on our machines, and it's really only our machines that are running this. So I don't see much of a need yet. But yeah, closer to launch is when we'll have a need. Tomorrow, the real tomorrow. I'm gonna destroy this list. Yeah, so yeah, like I was saying, Friday is gonna be a little bit of a late start. I'll probably also do a bit of a different schedule. Normally I start at like 8:30 in the morning and I go to about noon and then I stop and I start again. On that day, I might do like a 10 to 2 kind of stream. And that way the interview with Mel that's at 1 will actually have viewers for it. Otherwise we'd have like 50 people watching. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that though. I think it'll be nice. Let me go find somebody to raid. Mute site. Oh, you know who I should raid? I'll raid James Warner. I don't know if I've ever raided them before. I might have, but they've been raiding me a few times. So hopefully they still plan on streaming. Well, thank you all for watching. Thanks for being here. Here's a link to my Discord if you want to join. Here's a link to YouTube if you want to watch a bunch of the videos I've made. They're not all just live streams. And I'll be back on Friday, like I said. But remember, it will start a tiny bit late, but it'll also be interview day. So thanks again. See ya.